Hey cuties, what's up? We're back with some more reactions after dark, and we are of course going to be watching Mom tries to kill husband for justice, quote unquote, but people think she made the whole story up for custody, obviously by Rotten Mango. Now this is a follow-up to a previous video, so this is the second video in this arc. I'm guessing this is the last one for now. I think this is a recent, right? This is a recent event that happened. So if this doesn't wrap it up, it's probably going to be a while before there's any actual conclusion to the story. Though I think in the thumbnail, the mom is in like orange prison garb. I would assume that's what she's wearing. I'd have to look at the thumbnail again. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on there. So who knows? I mean, she did try to hire a hitman, so I guess there is jail time for that. But it's still whether or not up for debate whether that the dad did bad stuff. Oh yeah, this was the guy whose son died, and it didn't make any sense how he died. So they're assuming that he might have killed him to shut him up, right? Like I completely forgot. I just remember that was the story. So yeah, we have a dead son. We have a daughter who says the father. How do you say it? He did inappropriate things to her, and I'm just trying to be not say anything too crazy here. It's at the beginning of the video. Again, viewer discretion is advised for this video specifically. Uh, yeah, he did inappropriate things to her. Son's dead. Mom tries to kill the dad. It's just one crazy situation. This video's an hour and 44 minutes. So it's going to be about an hour, a little over an hour, sped up because all these videos I always have them sped up. I didn't really want to get into any long videos like this for a while. Possibly not until February if I could help it, because I just have too much stuff going on, and it just makes it hard to do this stuff. And I don't want to have to do this kind of stuff. But I was like, you know what? Let's do this and finish up this arc of videos. So yeah, we're going back into this. There will be a radical break in this video. There's not going to be a hater segment because there hasn't been any hate comments. There will be a radical break. There might even be two radical breaks if I'm not feeling like it, because I want to show off Horror Simulator. Terrible name, because when you look up Horror Simulator, it's not necessarily going to show you the game. It's going to show you a bunch of other stuff that is in the horror genre, right? Because it just assumes like, oh, you're looking for a horror simulator, not a game called Horror Simulator, which of course this is a VR game. Technically, I did record a video last night and uploaded that, which did go up 2 hours ago from when this video goes up. It was already uploaded, so you might have already seen Horror Simulator gameplay. But yeah, I'm going to do that because I just want to show that off and have a reason/excuse to play it. So there will be a radical break for that. Again, possibly up to 2 radical breaks. So this video is so freaking long, man. So I think it's justified to have a couple breaks during this, and I think it makes more sense for like Rotten Mango videos to actually have breaks in the video because they're more dark, question mark. So we can get into it now. I'll figure out where I want to break later, if not just the single one down the middle, or if I'll try to figure out like a couple places to do it. Probably like over here and here. This video is like separated, like if you see the ups and downs, they're all perfectly spaced for some reason. They're all like slightly over an inch and a half from each other, all these little mountains on the most viewed section, so that's weird. Maybe that'll be an indicator of when to add breaks, I don't know.
Bada bing, bada boom.
People always say if your husband, or probably worse if your ex-husband, purchases life insurance for you, that's usually an indicator of something nefarious, aka...
Oof. Well, you're saying husband, but isn't it always... I don't know if maybe it's the husbands too, but isn't like wives are the ones trying to get life insurance on you and like hire a hitman to kill you? I mean, I don't know how many times a hitman has done that. Like, who is more usually the person that's going to do life insurance fraud, if that's what you can call it? Well, life insurance fraud and murder. man or a woman? You'd argue that the man would have an easier time with it. Just question mark. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm thinking about life insurance fraud, it would be like a woman trying to kill the guy, or maybe just a guy self-deleting to get his family money. Question mark. I don't know. Because I do know this anecdote, right? I don't know his name. He's the actor, famous actor. This is alleged, by the way, because I don't know if it's true or not. He might have said this. It's alleged to me because I can't confirm or deny that this is what he actually said, because I think I heard it said by someone else and not from him directly. But the actor who plays, his name's Gus, right, in Breaking Bad. He also plays a character in The Boys. He plays a character in Star Wars, I think. I think his most famous thing, recent, well, not even recently because this is like a long time ago, but is Breaking Bad. Gus, the like drug dealer guy in uh Breaking Bad. That's like his breakout role. I don't know if like that was the role that he got, and it was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this, but allegedly he said that he was planning on committing self-deletion so that his family could get life insurance? Question mark. Because they had nothing, and he was just down on his luck or whatever the phrase is. So he was just like, okay, I'm just going to end it so that they can get money for his family from the life insurance. But then he got the role for Breaking Bad, I think, and then of course he's like, everybody loves him in Breaking Bad. Question mark. So he just did that and like came out of nowhere. I also saw that he was in, because I watched it. I forget what it's called, but it's like, I can't even describe it. The Maze Runners. I think it's called that. Maze Runners, maybe. He was in that too. Question mark. But yeah. So I think self-deletion to get your family life insurance is also a thing. I don't know if that would be considered fraud. I mean, you did die. So, I don't know.
He's probably going to try to kill you. I don't think that there is a single sign that is more blatant, more obvious than that. Well, according to Angie Solomon, there is October 6, 2020. So this is a few months after her beloved son, Grant Solomon's death. Aaron, her ex-husband, who is also the dad of Grant Solomon, he goes to purchase 3 more grave plots right next to Grant Solomon. One for...
Well, 3. There is only 3 of them. So there'd be the daughter, the mom, and the husband, well, him. But you can argue, okay, well, my son's already buried here, so I want us to be buried next to our son. You can make the argument that's what's happened. It's not, hey, I'm going to make sure that these 2 die. It's, okay, well, our son has already died and has been buried somewhere, so we now have a place to put ourselves. Since, otherwise it would have been like one of them dying and then figuring out, okay, well, it would have been him or her figuring out, okay, well, we've already buried him, so now this is where I'm going to be buried, and then if y'all want to be buried here with us too, then we'll have these 2 lots as well. If I'm playing devil's advocate, because then we're trying to make this seem like what he bought these plots because he's going to kill him and maybe even himself. So if he's dead, then how are they going to? Who's going to bury him next to his family, or who's going to be willing to do that for him? Question mark. I don't know. But yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate there and saying that's fine to do? Question mark. And it's just, okay, like I said, I know I've reiterated this a bunch of times. I know I have a bad habit of just repeating myself. I think my dad does that too, so maybe it's just a family thing. But he could have just bought them because they've already buried the son, so it's like, okay, this is where our family gets buried from now on.
For Gracie Solomon, their daughter, 1 for Angela Solomon, the mom, and a 3rd for himself, Aaron Solomon. Why would Angie's ex-husband purchase 3 grave plots right next to their deceased 18-year-old son? First of all, Angie and Aaron, they hate each other. They've had a very contentious divorce since 2013. They spent the past almost decade hating each other, and nothing indicates that any event took place which made them reconcile. Would they really want to spend the afterlife together, laying side by side for the rest of eternity, just letting the soil decompose them? And their daughter, Gracie Solomon, at that point, she was 14 years old, 13 years old. Most likely she's gonna grow up, get married, start a family of her own, and want to be laid to rest with them as an old Adian grandmother, right? Unless Aaron Solomon has other plans. The Freedom for Gracie Instagram posts about the grave plots that Aaron purchased. And it reads in short, why? Why? He and Angie have been divorced for years, all the while he is slandering her to their community. Quote, and why in the world would a father think his daughter would need a grave plot at 13 years old? Wouldn't Gracie want to grow up, get married, and have her own future and family and be buried?
Again, we're skipping over the fact that maybe they don't want anyone to take the spot next to his son. He doesn't want strangers next to his son. He wants the family to be there whenever it is time that they, end up having to die. Unless a miracle happens and science figures out immortality, fountain of youth, yada yada yada, which I doubt, but you can only hope, right? So again, we're just assuming the bad for the sake of assuming the bad, so that's why I'm playing devil's advocate and saying, hey, maybe he just doesn't want random strangers next to his son,
Married next to her husband someday? He never talked about it with Angie. She could understand if he bought them for himself and shoved that in her face to keep her from being buried next to her son. But for Aaron to put her and Gracie's name on it sent chills up Angie's spine. Aaron has a motive with most everything he does. They're friends, and Angie's thought was, quote, murder, self-exit? Maybe that's dramatic, but a life with Aaron is a life with fight or flight. Every fiber of their being believed Aaron had something to do with Grant's death. And now Angie and Gracie believe that they are next. What was Aaron Solomon's plan with the grave plots? Did he kill his own son, Grant Solomon? And is he trying to take down the rest of the family next? If that's the case, why is Angie Solomon the one in jail for trying to kill Aaron? This is the case of the Solomon family.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. This is copyrighted. Did I leave this in last time? Because in this music here is copyrighted. I've almost forgot about it because it's been so long since we've done Rotten stuff in regular rotation. The last time was like this video, which wasn't too long ago, but I haven't been doing them consecutively in a long time.
Sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Georgia Mountain Food Bank. Now more than ever, with SNAP benefits being paused and the holidays coming up, their work to end hunger can be life-saving. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for
What was this, 2 weeks ago? That stuff should be back on by now, isn't it?
your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. A few content disclaimers. There's allegations of DV, childhood essay, and incestuous abuse, so please be careful. Today's case is very complicated. It's a situation where I do think everyone on the internet, they've got their own opinion about this case, and there's no way that you're going to change their mind. It doesn't matter what you say.
I'm assuming it's just, the dad did it, right? Then everyone wants to say the dad did it, which is fine. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm perfectly fine saying that he did. I'm pretty sure last time I said, yeah, they're all in the wrong. Like, the dad did it, but then also the mom tried to kill the dad, so they both did something bad, question mark. Legally, technically, I mean, they did something bad. I mean, you can argue that she was in her right to try and kill him for what he did, sure. But that's just the legal system, right? The legal system's not going to see it that way. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine being like, yeah, they're all bad, or he's just bad. I'm just, playing devil's advocate, just to have a different opinion thrown up in the air for certain things like that, like the grave plot thing. Because I'm assuming this entire story is just going to be on the mom and the daughter side, which is fine. I'm just adding an extra. Well, I will add extra to it if I feel like it. Different opinions, just for the sake of it. Just have something to talk about rather than just like regurgitating the same thing over and over again that they're already saying.
It doesn't matter what other pieces of evidence arise from the opposing side. Nothing matters. They're sticking to it. There have been a lot of accusations that have not been legally proven in court. It's complicated because legally we want to protect our team and we want to protect ourselves from any sort of lawsuits. But you have to remember that just because something is not legally proven in court doesn't mean that it isn't true. It doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. But because of that, it just gets messier. There was also a defamation lawsuit against many different parties. There were cease and desist being sent out. So just for the purpose of that, we're going to be pretty careful with our wording. We're going to do our absolute best just to compile and aggregate the allegations made online, the netizen opinions, and even conspiracy theories online, so that you can come to your own personal opinion about this case. I'm
guessing he put out defamation cases or whatever.
Theories, opinions, accusations are put forth by either parties involved or by netizens I found online, their comments, and people that have made everything public. Like, everything is publicly available. These are not representative of our own opinions regarding this case. And a small disclaimer here, if we show any sort of documents, if there's any annotations, highlights, question marks next to those have been done by whoever originally uploaded the document. So that was not done by the Rotten Mango team. Additionally, one other quick thing, there are lengthy social media posts, lengthy podcasts, lengthy interviews, and an even lengthier defamation lawsuit that was filed in civil court. If there is a statement that I'm reading by quote, again, these are all publicly available information, but some of them have been condensed for brevity without losing the original purpose of the exact statement. So with that being said, let's get into the recap. There's really no effective way to recap what happened in part one, so please go watch that video or those podcasts first, but I'm gonna give you just a timeline refresher. In 2013, Angie and Aaron Solomon go through an exhausting divorce. Angie accuses Aaron of trying to kill her. Aaron accuses Angie of spreading lies and trying to self-exit and then blame it on him, and trying to defame him as well as brainwash the kids to turn them against him, their own dad. Angie's own—
Oh yeah, I forgot. That was a thing from the first video where, from his point of view, she tried to self-exit in the bathroom and he tried to stop her, right? But her, kind of like timeline is that he goes beast mode or something. He literally, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is what it's called, right? He literally goes Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde on her and like becomes a zombie and just tries to kill her. And apparently he can just turn that on and all his emotions go away. He just becomes a monster. He's not even human anymore, from her perspective. And I'm assuming she literally means that, not like figuratively. Like he literally becomes a monster. Supernaturally even becomes a monster. So it's kind of like, who do you want to believe with that? But I think that's what it was. He was trying to kill her. Son sees it. Maybe he snaps out of it and stops. Allegedly, of course, the son's dead now, so we can't get his testimony for that situation. But I think that was something that happened in the first video.
Father testifies against her, and that becomes a huge point of contention in the whole divorce proceedings. It is an exhaustive legal battle. Angie and Aaron continue to fight over custody after 2013, with Angie claiming and alleging, along with their daughter Gracie Solomon, that their father Aaron has been abusing Gracie ever since she was a little girl, primarily essaying her during bath times. That is the primary allegation. There has been multiple open child services investigations against these allegations, and they have been closed without any significant findings. Does that mean that the—
Yeah, though it's like you're looking into something that happened like a long time ago, question mark, and it's like, how do you prove that other than just like believing the person who said it? Because that's all you can really do, right? I'm assuming that's all you can do. I don't know if there's any way to really be able to tell if something had happened other than just believing the person, which is kind of like the issue here.
abuse never happened? That's not what I'm saying. A lot of the time CPS or DFACS or DCS will close investigations just because they're overworked, understaffed, or sometimes you just get a social worker who just doesn't care. That's all you get. That's it. So it doesn't mean that these things didn't happen, but there are multiple open and shut investigations that have found, I guess, no damning evidence against Aaron Solomon. There are other big allegations placed upon Aaron Solomon, such as essay against Gracie, physical abuse against Angie, as well as potentially a human trafficking ring that involves mega church leaders, the governor of Tennessee, a senator of Tennessee, as well as Gracie being a victim of that ring herself. So this is all happening after the divorce. Then in 2020, a few weeks after Grant Solomon turns 18, he passes away. At this point, Gracie is 13, so Gracie is their only remaining child left. And now one version of the story of Grant's death is that now that he was 18, he wanted to get custody of Gracie and expose his dad for everything that he's done. The other version is that the truck rolled down the hill, rolling him over before landing in the ditch and killing him. A year after that, in 2021, Gracie, the 14-year-old remaining Solomon child, posts a YouTube video exposing her dad, Aaron, and claiming that her dad has killed her older brother. Then in 2025, this year, Angie Solomon is arrested for trying to hire a hitman to take down Aaron Solomon, her ex-husband. And it gets complicated because Aaron Solomon does have a potentially in the 7-figure range, at least $1 million trust fund that would go to Gracie.
If he's dead.
If
right?
he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So
But we don't know the exact amount.
Yeah, we don't know the exact amount. There's an incentive for both parties to either play it up or play it down. So even that's up for debate. Angie Solomon likes to insinuate that there's millions of dollars on the table. Aaron Solomon states that he only really received like $1 million and most of it was already used. I think the reason that it gets confusing is once his aunt passed away, this is his aunt's inheritance, she passes away, he gets a trust fund, and I think half of it was in land that he stated at least a few years ago that was not sold. So he's saying, I never sold the land, so I never realized any profits from the land. It's just there. It's a sitting asset. I'm not liquid for that land. And then the other portion of it, he received in payments of $100,000 a month. So that makes it seem like he's receiving $100,000 a month every month for an undetermined amount of time. But it could have been 2-3 months. It could have been 5 months, right? It's up for debate. So with that recap, let's get started. Divorces are the one thing where people consistently spend a lot of money to spend a lot more money. There is no rationality behind a divorce. It's, hello lawyer, I would like to pay you $150,000 so that I don't have to pay my partner $50,000. Or, hello lawyer, I'm going to secretly try and commit tax fraud amongst other federal crimes just so I don't have to give money to my partner because being with my partner feels like I'm being in prison. Yes, I understand doing all of this could put me in real prison. That's completely besides the point. That's not even what I'm talking to you about. One divorce attorney says, the craziest request I ever got was, the client was asking me to get her half the shampoo bottles she left behind in the family home. She was kicked out of the house. I asked her, under the sink, like, where are the shampoo bottles? And she said, no, the shampoo bottles in the shower. There's 2 to 3 bottles. Half the bottles are full. I want half of each remaining half.
And she's trying to be
Yeah, it's really weird. I think he's about to say she's trying to be petty. I was just gonna say, just go in the house and get him. They're just shampoo. Like, who cares? I guess like she's kicked out, right? But I don't know. Just sneak in or ask me like, hey, you just talk to your husband and be like, hey, just give me the shampoo. But I guess because it's so petty, 'cause she wants half of what's in the bottles. No, she doesn't want like half of the total amount of bottles there. She wants half of each bottle, not just like if they have 6 bottles, she takes 3 of them, right? No, she wants half of each 6.
Petty about it, right?
Yeah, so 2 to 3 bottles in the shower. They're half empty already. And then she wants half of each half. I ended up telling her that she paid me $50 just to read, receive, and respond to this email. And I will waive the $50 if she just takes that $50 to CVS and gets some goddamn shampoo herself. Another says, doorknobs. It was a regular house. They were not special bronze doorknobs, brass doorknobs. It was a regular builder grade home, regular doorknobs. Yeah, they fought over it. I offered to buy them new doorknobs if they would just settle. It was bad. Obviously, some people say it's not about the shampoo. It's not about the doorknobs. It's about pure spite and winning. One post online reads, a divorce lawyer told the story of a rather well-to-do couple. They spent months and months and tens of thousands of dollars fighting over absolutely everything, all the way down to a single ceramic ashtray. I can't remember the significance of it, but I think it came from the husband's family side. I don't know, but even after everything that had been decided, they spent many more months, and I think they totally spent $100,000 fighting over a singular ashtray. Then after a court hearing, the wife finally won the ashtray. She promptly strode out to the white courthouse steps and smashed the ceramic ashtray, left the pieces all over for the husband on his way out to see all of it.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zara, I can give my
right up with that. Hold on. Let's get rid of this ad real quick. Now we're back. I think all these hills in the video are ad spots. That's what all they are. That's why there's a big incline at all of these spots. Those are where the ads are.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it doesn't just stop there, because it's not about an ashtray, right? Another husband, he left his wife's prized koi fish on their doorstep of their house to die. She was so distraught, she couldn't...
Oof. Isn't that just murder? Can't you get in trouble for that?
Court. He killed 6 of her fish. There's never a dull or a happy day in family court because everything has a deeper emotional reasoning. Obviously, it's not just about an ashtray. It's not just revenge. It's not just about fish. It's about being an abusive animal killer, but you get it. Nobody really gets divorced over what they say they're getting divorced over, like a bathtub or Tim McGraw, the country singer. One
What?
Reddit post reads, I went to school with this girl.
What happened with Tim McGraw? Like, I know who that is, but what happened with him? I had like cologne, Tim McGraw cologne in high school. Question mark. I think I actually liked it. Like, it was actually pretty good, or at least I thought it was pretty good. But it's like, what happened with him?
She married this really rich guy in Ohio, moves in with him in Ohio. They seem to be getting along. 6 months later, out of the blue, she files for divorce. Up until that point, all I heard from her was how well it was going. Anyways, turns out, our little buddy had a fetish for getting off on pee. He asked her to pee on him in the tub. At first, she
Okay.
agreed to it because she thought it was like a one-time thing, but he kept asking for it more and more, and she tried to decline it respectfully by saying, the bathtub's too small, it's too cramped. So next day, she comes home to 24 construction workers and heavy equipment tearing the bathroom walls in for a new bathtub. A week or so later, they finish up the bathroom with a brand new giant bathtub. She comes home to a sign left on the fridge with a note to drink up. She's got some watering to do. I don't know what she put down as the official reason for the divorce, but it's definitely the bathtub. Some would argue it's not the bathtub, it's what he wanted
Who are we talking about? We're not talking about Tim McGraw, are we?
to do in the bathtub. It's not for the bathtub. Just like how Angie Solomon and Aaron Solomon don't get divorced over Tim McGraw, the country singer. If the whole point is to make Angie look crazy in court, it is working. Whether it is true or not, it's up for debate. But Angie's dad testifies against her, but so does her long...
Are we saying that they divorced because of Tim McGraw? I gotta figure out what's going on with Tim McGraw here. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Tim McGraw. I'm guessing these two have some sort of claim that it's because of Tim McGraw or something like that. That's like related to him as to why they're getting divorced. But I looked it up. He's been married to the same woman for 25 years, I think. Because that's what it said. Like, they're not divorced and they've been together for 25 years. So he's not... He doesn't have anything to do with this story. So I don't know where he comes into play. If she talked about Tim McGraw in the first video, I don't know what it was. I don't remember hearing that because I would have mentioned, like, oh, I know who Tim McGraw is.
Solomon don't get divorced over Tim McGraw, the country singer. If the whole point is to make Angie look crazy in court, it is working. Whether it is true or not, it's up for debate. But Angie's dad testifies against her, but so does her longtime friend. She gives a declaration to the judge, and she details a very specific situation that she's had with Angie. Do you know Tim McGraw? He's a country singer, and he happens to be married to another huge country singer.
Okay, so Tim McGraw was gonna come out. I got ahead of myself. Talk about Tim McGraw. They're saying her friend is testifying against her. Oof, that kind of sucks.
he's had with Angie. Do you know Tim McGraw? He's a country singer, and he happens to be married to another huge country singer, Faith Hill.
Is this divorce hearing or is this for what is
This is later. Okay, so Angie is trying to appeal a lot of the judge's prior decisions of custody being placed 77% in Aaron. And Aaron is fighting it back, and a lot of people are siding with Aaron, such as this alleged former friend of Angie, who writes a declaration to the judge and is like, I need to tell you about Angie. She's not who you think she is.
Alleged former
This is
friend.
between 2013 and 2020 or
Yes,
2025?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And then he also uses this declaration in a defamation lawsuit later in 2023.
I see. The friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the friend said, that Angie told her Tim McGraw was going to leave his wife, Faith Hill, to be with Angie. Angie's friend writes a declaration and says, Angie claimed that Tim McGraw was singing to her at the concert specifically, obviously staring into her eyes and, quote, hitting on her. She was furious at Aaron because he didn't confront Tim McGraw about this. She also told me that Tim McGraw and Faith Hill were getting a divorce because he was so interested in her. Of course, the McGraws did not get a divorce, and I believe Angie made the whole thing up. Angie is potentially having a your name moment at a Tim McGraw concert. Maybe she was kidding, maybe this never happened, but in the court system, it's not looking good for Angie. She's not getting a good look from this former friend's declaration. Nor is it a good look that her dad more or less tells the judge that he would not be comfortable if Angie was inside of his house and he was falling asleep. He says he would not be comfortable if his daughter was there while he's asleep. Nobody asked for that kind of example, but damn, he's giving them. He's telling the judge, I'm going to tell you about her condition because I love my daughter. However, she's a compulsive liar. I cannot have a conversation with my daughter. I never look forward to my daughter calling me, although I love to hear her voice, and I love when she tells me about the actions of the kids. I can never expect to have a conversation with her unless there's some untruth that's going to be told, unless something is going to be stretched. He tells the judge
Untruth?
that she can never not tell a lie. She's never been able to tell the truth, which again, this is the same dad that she filed an order of protection against, so we don't know how accurate or how trustworthy his observations are. Meanwhile, most of Angie's doctors all state that she's perfectly capable of being a good and fit mother. They do not see her ever being a danger to her kids or living in a false reality. At least that's what's been reported thus far. Side note, even in 2021, a Nashville EMT comes forward and states that he responded to a call to the Solomon family house years ago. He says he remembers when he got there, Nashville Police Department were already at the scene. They had gone into the house, so the EMTs were mainly standby outside. He was familiar with Aaron Solomon. He had seen him around the neighborhood, probably on the news. He was always cordial, and it was the same energy that night. Aaron Solomon comes out very
Oh yeah, he was like an anchor on the morning news or whatever, like on news, I think, the news station or whatever.
cordial, very polite with the EMTs. He's telling them, perhaps even apologizing for his wife's actions, stating that his wife is clearly mentally ill and causing all this trouble.
What are they there for exactly?
A domestic dispute.
Oh.
Now, Angie, Solomon, and the two children exit the house, and Aaron's demeanor quickly changes. According to this EMT, he became red in the face, and his facial expression showed that he was very angry, very agitated, and it was very obvious that Aaron was filled with rage. He stated that he recalled that Aaron made a few steps towards Angie, but was stopped by the Nashville Police Department. Furthermore, the EMT allegedly states that it was pretty clear to him and to all of his colleagues who the instigator of this incident was, and they're all thinking that it was Aaron.
So Angie's friend and father is pointing finger at Angie, but this EMT and their colleagues are saying Aaron is the problem during those fights.
But I mean, a lot of people have been disputing this EMT's version of events because he only came forward a year after Grant Solomon's death, and a lot of the coverage after and during Grant Solomon's passing in 2020 was very anti-Aaron. So some people are wondering if, because this allegedly happened years ago, could he really have such a strong memory of this random couple, and is it accurate? And they're calling to the fact that a lot of eyewitness testimonies are never really accurate, not because people are trying to be deceitful, it's just humans are not that smart. We're not as smart as we think we are. But others are arguing.
Sure, I mean, yeah, remembering, I guess there's argument to both sides where it's like, okay, yeah, how are you gonna remember a random couple's dispute and be like, oh yeah, I knew exactly what he looked like. Also, am I not moving? Can it not see me? I just realized the model's not tracking anymore. Hold on. Right, there we go. That was weird. Like, I opened the program back up and it just crashed immediately again, and the second time I opened it up, it came back on and is back working, so that's weird. Anyways, and the two sides are like, yeah, how do you expect this random guy to be like, oh yeah, I remember exactly how he behaved and what it looked like, and he was definitely the bad guy, even though it's been years since this event happened. It was just some random two people. I just somehow remember, like a steel trap, what this random couple that I went on a job for like a few seconds once was acting. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, this is the anchor on your daily news channel, as like maybe you would remember that specifically because it isn't just some random person. It is the anchor of the local news channel, ? And that's why you might remember that. So you can be other side, or you will even add a third devil's advocate section here to where he is so like he immediately becomes incredibly angry at the sight of the mom and the kids, because the kids have continued to be manipulated by the mom to be on her side, when she's actually the bad guy, but nobody, I guess, believes him that she's actually the bad guy pulling all the strings, the puppet master or whatever. You could argue that's that. I mean, just a scenario that could be it, but we could just put that on the back burner, right? And it's just, okay, what I said earlier, where how do you trust a guy who is saying he remembered something from years ago from some random event that he was at for, probably for like a few minutes? Or, hey, this is the local news anchor, you're going to remember what you were doing with them, right?
No, like I've been an EMT, not me, but like others are arguing. I've been an EMT, and trust me, like you remember certain people, and they're just like singed into your brain for whatever reason. I mean, sometimes it's not even like the biggest, craziest call that you get. Sometimes it's just like, I know that guy from church, and so this is going to be singed into my memory whether I like it or not. But more importantly, a lot of Angie's doctors are stating that she's perfectly well and healthy. So why doesn't the judge believe her? According to Angie, a former court-appointed guardian for the kids, say, "It is my firm belief that Aaron used wealth and personal connections to win favorable decisions to the detriment of their daughter Gracie, Grant, and Angie Solomon, leaving them open to harassment, sexual, mental, and emotional abuse, and leading to the untimely death of Grant Solomon."
Who is this court-appointed guardian?
Yeah, okay, so this is like someone who would become the kid's guardian very temporarily while custody is getting resolved. And this particular one has remained anonymous. But Angie has posted a letter showing that it was written to the judge. I don't know if it was written to the judge. I don't know if it was submitted. Technically, anyone could put letterhead and write whatever they want. I do think it's difficult because on one hand, you can understand why someone is wanting to stay anonymous in a situation like this. But on the other hand, it definitely doesn't add credibility. The former GAL says that it's all because Aaron has money, millions of dollars that he has inherited from his aunt after she passed away. Coupled with the right connections, Aaron Solomon can, some people believe and allege, that means he can just do anything he wants. I mean, just about. Angie believes that Aaron is part of the Good Old Boys Club at Grace Chapel in Franklin, Tennessee. This is a church. Boys protecting boys type of church. Angie says all the most powerful people in the state attend this church, and they sit right next to Aaron Solomon, and it's all a boys club. Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee attends that same very church. Governor Lee was actually recently in the news for refusing to touch state reserves, a $2 billion rainy day fund for the entire state of Tennessee. He refused to touch it to help cover low-income working parents who lost SNAP during the government shutdown. So there's that. A lot of the influential judges, including Judge Johnson, one of the judges that ruled in favor of primary custody going towards Aaron instead of Angie, she goes to that church. Her husband, who happens to be Senator Jack Johnson, a senator from Tennessee, also goes to that church. Grace Chapel in Franklin, Tennessee is considered a mega church. On a typical Sunday service, they have about 3,500 attendees at their service. And according to Angie, Aaron, the governor, the judge, the senator, they're all good buddies with the main founding pastor of the church, Steve Berger. Steve Berger is no longer a pastor at Grace Chapel. He was the founding pastor, but there was church drama because there's always church drama. I think religion is beautiful. I think organized religion with infighting within the organization is very ugly. Steve Berger is also a little bit terrifying. He has now gone into politics, which is, I think everyone can have their own opinion about what it means to be religious while also being involved in how the state is run. But Steve Berger has publicly stated that his goal is to disciple members of Congress so that what they learn is then translated into policy. No separation of church and state is his entire dream. Yeah. And it appears that there are connections with him and a congressman who wants to get rid of the second term rule for presidents, meaning a president can only serve 2 terms. So there's a lot of connections there. Probably a lot of money because it's a mega church. A lot of money.
Okay, so are we saying this is another Reed case? I forget her first name, right? But another Reed case where everyone is against Reed. Her name was her last name was Reed, right? It wasn't the guy's name. It was her last name, Reed. I can't remember her name. I feel like it's like Kate Reed, but I don't think it was Kate Reed. It's Reed something. She in that case, I think she's got off scot-free, right, for now. But who knows what's going to happen afterwards? There could be like a follow-up until like these, because no one got punished, right? So that guy just died for no reason. If you know what I'm talking about, it's like this other case that she did. It was like 3 episodes, right, at least, where everybody was dogpiling on her because everybody was in this group with each other. They all knew each other. They are cops or high up officials, right? Even like some people in the FBI, I think, were acquainted with the people who are trying to get her thrown in jail for the death of her husband / boyfriend, right? Like it was just all this one group of people who were just all in on it together to throw her in jail, like cover it up and have her be the fall guy for what they did, ? So is this another situation where he's just in connection with all these high power people and thus he's trying to make her seem like the fall guy, which seems to be working because she appears to be in prison. She's wearing orange prison garb. So is that what's happening here? Except he wins this time instead of with the R.A.D case where she kind of wins because she didn't go to jail, right? They're probably still going to try to get her to go to jail. So this is the opposite of that. The bad guy, won this time around, assuming that he is the bad guy.
Money, and they're actually sending out cease and desist. So I love a good cease and desist from a church. That's like one of my favorite types of cease and desist because something about it, I'm like, I don't know, it just like riles me up. Maybe it's my religious trauma. But anyway, what does that have to do with Angie? Angie claims that allegedly Judge Johnson ruled in favor of Aaron. She, and this is a huge allegation, but this judge would have discussions about all of her cases with the church pastor, Steve Berger. This is what Angie is alleging. And Steve Berger is allegedly close with Aaron Solomon. So he would tell her, you know, God is with Aaron, so maybe you should rule against Angie. That's kind of the allegation at hand. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know. I don't even know how the structure of a mega church works, if like the founding pastor even hangs out with any of the congregation. It all feels like some bigger coordinated effort is what Angie is saying. And it is very strange. She states that people at the church never paid her any attention. Nobody cared about her. But then suddenly, the night of Grant's memorial service, members of the Grace Chapel Church, quote, inserted themselves into my house. And she's stating that they barged into her house and they're desperately trying to convince her that Grant died from having abdominal injuries to his organs and that there was hemorrhaging in his stomach. She basically states more or less that they're trying to gaslight her into believing that Grant Solomon died naturally from this accident. With an Instagram post reading on Freedom for Gracie Instagram, why did these people from Grace Chapel keep trying so hard to gaslight Angie about what happened to her son? Why does Grace Chapel keep appearing at Angie's door or in her text messages the week of Grant's death and weeks after? They never wanted to help Grant, Gracie, or Angie in the years before. Why now? Why in this way? Because the good old boys club. Protect the good old boys club. Some people argue, or it could just be a mega church. And typically with mega churches, I used to go to church back in the day. And like the one thing about mega churches and why people are kind of interested in going to them is there's not as much of a community built around it. So it's not everybody knows everybody's business. And so it could very well be that nobody really talked to Angie until they found out someone from the congregation or someone from the church, they had this tragic accident happen to their son. And so now they're actively reaching out because that's maybe what God would want them to do. I don't know, right? I don't know. There is that argument out there floating around. But the theory of the good old boys club changes in the degree of severity. There's like a light, medium, dark version. The light version. Some people believe good old boys club, there really is no good old boys club. That insinuates there's some sort of conspiracy, there's some sort of organized effort, and there really isn't. It's just men protecting men, typically, from allegations of abuse. It's less of a coordinated effort to make sure Aaron is found not guilty, but more so internal misogynistic biases. Our good friend Aaron from the church, he could not do such a thing. Like, not our Aaron. We've been going to church with Aaron for years. We would have known if he was doing something like that. No, our judgment is perfectly great still. There's no way. Angie, however, I always knew she was a little cuckoo. I never really even talked to her. She barely comes to church. They believe it's just coming from people who are probably very powerful in the church, and a lot of them, in netizen opinion, are not good people. However, are they really going to help Aaron in particular? It's probably just this internal bias that they have. A lot of these netizens that believe in this theory think Aaron's not even part of the elite. I mean, it's unclear.
Yeah, there's also that angle, right, where she's getting to right now is that Aaron is just a weather boy, and he's not even that anymore, right? Because I don't know, he got fired. I forgot what was the story. He was the lead anchor, right, or something like that. He was an anchor. He got moved over to sports or weather or something. I don't know why. But then he wanted his old job back for some reason, and they didn't give it to him, or I don't remember what happened. They were trying to give him his old job back, or maybe he wanted to stay where he was. I don't remember what happened. Something happened and he doesn't work there anymore. So it's just like, he's just an average, normal guy. Like, there's nothing special about him. He's not some sort of super rich guy or has power or anything. He's just a dude who was on the news. So it's kind of be weird. It is weird to be like, okay, why would a judge, these people in political positions, and etc., just all dogpile on his side when he's a nobody?
Clear how much Aaron Solomon is worth. According to a few transcripts, probably $1 to $2 million, which is a substantial amount, but it's not, I'm going to DC and swaying congressman amount. It's not lobbying and taking a private jet to the tech industry to lobby something. You know, it's okay.
Yeah, it's just the amount that most people want to strive for by the time it's time to retire is about $1 million, because you can live off $1 million for a while, right? It's basically just where you want to be. And he is pretty old, so it kind of is just, okay, he worked a long time, got inheritance, and now he has like $1 million to live for the rest of his life, though. Might have to strain that, because I'm assuming he's like 40 or 50, so might have to be stingy with that million for however long. But yeah, that's essentially nothing in the grand scheme of things. of what we're talking about with these high power officials and whatnot.
To these people. So would they really protect him? No, it's probably just a matter of, oh, I know that guy from church. No, he's a nice guy. And Angie, she seems a little crazy. And like, where's the evidence? I don't see any evidence. So we're going to rule in favor of him. The next level up, like the medium conspiracy, is that Aaron knows something about these very powerful people and they are working together to make sure that he's happy so he doesn't tell anyone what he knows. Why would Aaron know
Why wouldn't they just kill him? If they're so powerful, they just kill him.
anything? Well, he goes to the church. Maybe he's got eyes and ears. Maybe he just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Or he previously worked as a news anchor. Perhaps he came across information on Tennessee's finest and greatest people that would make it harder for them to get reelected, make it harder for them to make a bigger step into Washington. Now, a few things about this particular theory.
Again, sure, why wouldn't they just make him disappear if they're that high up in society?
Will note is Aaron Solomon was not a big name in the news world. You know, he was mainly a sports anchor, not a super well-known one at that. He was not on ESPN covering the Super Bowl. He was just a local sports anchor and then a local morning news host for the local TV. It's very rare that these anchors are privy to such sensitive information about the elite, especially when you're not at the top. Like I would think like the nation's handful of top anchors maybe know a little too much, and that might be it.
Yeah.
I mean, these are incredible positions, incredible opportunities. I'm not discounting anything about his career trajectory, but I'm just saying I don't think that would naturally put him in a position to gain any blackmail material or any sort of high-level information on these people. However, he could have just been at the right place, at the right time, whether it be at work or whether it be at the church. Then we have the dark theory, the most intense theory, the severity of the allegations of this one being incredibly high if true. At one point, Angie claims that these guys all run a sex trafficking ring in Tennessee, that they're all involved, stating that Aaron trafficked his own daughter Gracie to these people. On the Freedom for Gracie website, on the Angie's About Me page, it reads, over the next decade, Angie would go on to battle not only her ex-husband, but a corrupt court system, a cult-like private school, and a church with connections to the highest offices in the country. I don't know if any of these allegations are true. And also, 2 things could be true, and 3 things could be true at once. So I don't know how connected all of these different facts are, but
Yeah, nothing is mutually exclusive, question mark.
here's where it does get weird. According to Grant's girlfriend at the time, Hannah, and a lot of his other friends, Grant had set up a meeting with the founding pastor, Steve Berger, the main pastor, to talk about how his dad, Aaron, had been abusive towards him.
Really?
Yes. So
This is pretty confirmed by like third parties.
yeah, I understand some people's skepticism against Angie. I understand some people's skepticism not against Gracie, because I think that ultimately, whichever way you spin it, whichever way, if Aaron is bad or if Angie is bad or both of them are bad, ultimately Grant and Gracie are the victims in this story. Regardless, right? Some people do have skepticism towards what
Sure.
Angie is also alleging with Gracie, because some people are saying that she could be manipulating Gracie or brainwashing Gracie or making Gracie
Yeah, there's always the small chance that this is all just, again, a puppet master scheme by Angie. Angie's her name, right? Yeah, some sort of puppet master scheme by her to have the daughter act or think this way. Again, if we want to believe what Aaron is saying, he's saying that Gracie is a she said it earlier in the video, I forgot what it's called, but she just lies for no reason. She can't help but lie just for the sake of lying. So you can't trust anything she's saying, but you have to trust Aaron, or whatever the heck his name is. I don't remember his name. You have to trust him, trust what he's saying about her being a habitual liar, question mark. That's not the right word, but I think that does make sense, right? Just someone who lies all the time. But again, he probably did all of this stuff, right? It's just, if you want to argue that there's holes in the story, you can argue, but you could just also just assume like, yeah, he's the bad guy. Case closed.
Gracie say these things. Some people point to Gracie's YouTube video saying that she doesn't look comfortable. Some people say these don't sound like words that a 14-year-old uses. The fact that she's reading off of a paper, her body language, she's glancing off camera at times. People are all using that to try and say that Angie is brainwashing Gracie into saying these
Okay, she looks like she's looking up at somebody in that point there. 'Cause she's not looking at the camera, she's looking at something that's behind the camera.
things. So regardless, I think when it comes from a third party who really has nothing to gain from saying anything, it's interesting. Now, Grant's girlfriend at the time, Hannah, she has corroborated that Grant never really talked much about his dad, but when he did, he just never really seemed to want to go to his dad's place. She remembered there was one time he was crying in the car because he just didn't like the idea of going to his dad's house. So he didn't. And he was always oddly very protective of Hannah around his own dad, which she thought was interesting. But she states that Grant had an appointment with Steve Berger and was going to tell him about the abuse that his dad was inflicting. Steve Berger says no such thing ever happened. Indeed, Grant did set up a meeting with him, but it was just to talk about how he can get closer to God. Steve Berger apparently states in a video, a sermon video, you just never get a 9th grader making an appointment with you to talk about Jesus as a crusty old gray-haired preacher. But Grant did, and he sat in my office for well over an hour. He just wanted to know how he could draw closer to Christ. And it stands out to me.
This was after his passing?
Yeah. I mean, clearly even Steve thought it was weird that this ninth grader was like, I just want to talk to you about how to get closer to God. So a lot of netizens are saying, yeah, maybe it's weird because that's never what happened.
Sure. Was it recorded? Because if this was recorded, they could use this as blackmail on the dad if they wanted to, right? Whether or not they're going to do that, who knows? But if you recorded that, they could just be like, okay, we don't want to deal with this drama anymore. Here's evidence of what was going on straight from the son, straight from Grant. Now throw him away. We don't care about him anymore.
Steve thought it was weird. Netizens think it's weird. They all think it's part of some bigger cover-up. Because Gracie in her video claims that she told the school, she told the church, nobody did anything about it. Also, the church and the school, can be very careful with my wording here. They're not legally affiliated. They are two different legal entities. And
What school? The school she goes to?
Yeah, so Grant and Gracie go to a Christian private school, Grace Christian Academy. And the church is called Grace Chapel Church, or Grace Chapel, right? They're legally two different entities. They have two separate governing bodies for both organizations. It's like if...
What's the connection though, besides the name? Are they run by,
It seems like they're connected. It seems like if Nike were to come up with a drinks brand and call it Nike Coffee, but they created a new LLC, a new corporation for Nike Coffee, and they've got a different board of directors for Nike Coffee. But I mean, legally speaking, I guess they're two different entities, but like technically,
Yeah, okay,
I guess,
I see.
the affiliation is very strong.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
So Gracie is saying that the church and the school, they never did anything about it. Grant's girlfriend at the time is saying that Grant probably told Steve about it and Steve didn't do anything. So what's going on? What are they hiding? Why would the church not just go to the police? Why would they not investigate? Why would they not do anything? Because it's a church. Aren't they supposed to stand against stuff like this?
Yeah, but also the police? Hello?
Yeah. Now, Grace Chapel Church eventually releases their own statement against these allegations. That reads in part, recently a 14-year-old girl posted a video on social media platforms about alleged abuse that she had experienced in her family. We just can't imagine how difficult it must be for that young woman to be caught in the middle of a custody battle with her parents, while also dealing with the tragic death of her brother. Since the original video, a variety of websites, blogs, articles, and social media posts have spread information maligning Grace Chapel, Grace Christian Academy, and our founding pastor, Steve Berger. The church notes, to clarify, the three parties, the church, the academy, and Steve Berger's ministry are, quote, are all separate legal organizations with separate oversight and missions. Which again, if you have to word it like that, it just means that there must be some level of entanglement, perhaps even just socially, because the wording is very precise, that there are three separate legal organizations with separate oversight.
Sure, though it could just be just standard legal jargon. I feel like a lot of people, well, not even a lot of people, if you see a person on Twitter and they work for a, this not exactly the same thing, but if they work for a company and yet this person has strong opinions on things, they will have like in their bio, something like, my opinions do not reflect said company, because they work for that company. So I think it's just standard saving face behavior, question mark.
But the church continues with their clarification by stating, considering the number of false accusations being made, we felt it would be important to clarify a few things so that our church family could understand Grace Chapel's involvement and how to pray for this situation. There were never any allegations by anyone that any abuse took place at Grace Chapel or that it involved any Grace Chapel volunteers or employees. The allegations of abuse in 2018 was between a divorced couple regarding their own child and had nothing to do with Grace Chapel. There's been false reporting that Steve Berger, when he was serving as Grace Chapel's senior pastor, had been informed about the abuse during a meeting that took place on May 7th, 2018, and did not report it to the proper authorities following that meeting. The claim that somehow Steve Berger knew of the abuse and didn't report it is categorically false. In fact, the alleged abuse had already been reported to the sheriff's office on May 4th, 2018, 3 days before the meeting with Stephen even took place.
Well, you just gave us information that would mean like, okay, that's documented, right? Okay, go to the police. Is that accurate?
Grace Chapel has and will continue to make sure that any allegations of abuse are reported to the proper authorities. All of our staff and volunteers go through child safety training as well as background checks. Please join us in continuing to pray for this family, and if you have any questions, please reach out to us, Grace Chapel. Not really doing themselves any favors, the church also goes on to clarify something very weird, stating, in a recent article, there was also an issue that one of the family members who attends Grace Chapel is not a member of the church. It's important to note that Grace Chapel has a specific process for membership, and this individual, Aaron Solomon, has not gone through the process and is therefore not a member. But the church does go on to clarify that not everyone is welcome. Membership is not a requirement for participation and fellowship within their church community. I will say that's a very strange thing to make distinctively clear for everybody, considering there's pretty strong connections that Aaron at least attended the church with a high frequency on most Sundays, even taking pictures of himself at the church and then sending them to Gracie. 2 Sundays in a row, he texts pictures of himself at the church, writing to her, at church, thinking of you, love you, miss you, heart. Then the next Sunday, a picture of the church and
Who?
pictures of himself at the church, writing to her, at church.
Who are these people? Are these like her friends? Her friends and her friend's mom? Like who is this woman and who are these girls? Hello? I need context for that.
Thinking of you, love you, miss you, heart. Then the next Sunday, a picture of the church and an accompanying message. Pastor Steve mentioned Grant for the 3rd Sunday in a row and preached about heaven today. Hope you can watch it. Because, it's a mega church. They like to upload their sermons onto YouTube and stuff. I don't know if the church is involved. I don't know if the church is not involved. I also think that I have way too much religious trauma to even come to an appropriate conclusion without being tainted by my own anecdotal evidence and personal opinions, right? But I do think that the responses are just a little weird. I've met a lot of religious people. I've met a lot of people of faith. And regardless of the fact that, of anything really, I don't think any of them would respond to such a sensitive topic and allegation in this manner. It was just weird. It was just weird. And I think it just makes everything feel unsettling.
Yeah.
It feels a little heartless. Even the way that they write about Gracie feels a little bit heartless. The way that they write about the family, even if they are not involved, even if they're being dragged online, I think that there are better ways to go about it. I would imagine more of a business entity, a corporation, to respond in this apathetic, cold, legalese type of way. But anyway, that's just an opinion.
Legalese.
No indication of guilt or innocence. Yeah. Now, on top of that, the church has also been sending out cease and desist letters to creators. I don't think that I'll be on the receiving end of one. However, it would not be the first time. It actually just like
Well, I mean, this video is still up, right? I don't see any, like, not DMCAs, but there's no age restriction or anything weird like that on this video, so I'm assuming she's fine, question mark. She is, like, worried about that. She's mentioned it multiple times this video that she's worried about getting a defamation lawsuit, right? So they have to word their things correctly. I don't know if it's Aaron who is throwing around these defamation lawsuits, or if it's these corporations, the church, the school, or what have you, that man.
Gets me more riled up. So there's
Like they've been sending it to YouTubers and stuff?
yeah, they've been sending a lot of cease and desist.
Really?
Yeah. But it's just weird. Again, overexcited legal action is not a sign of guilt. I just personally think it's weird behavior. Also, while we're at it though, I also think the school is weird. The school that both Grant and Gracie went to, Grace Christian Academy, they are, again, I think closely affiliated, even though they have separate legal and governing structures between the church.
I mean, they have the same name, Grace, though also Gracie, right? It's like a weird coincidence that we have this Grace school, though. The word Grace makes sense if it's has to do with religion. Same thing with the school being called Grace if it's a religious school. But then you have Gracie as a child mixed up in this. Again, also another word used to the word grace. But then again, he seems to be very religious. I don't know about the mom. Seems like maybe the mom not so much. But then it's kind of like, okay, did you let your husband name your daughter Gracie? Question mark. There's just a lot of grace going around, and not enough.
Regardless, Gracie said at that age in her life, when she was just figuring out what had happened to her in the abuse, she had nobody to talk to about the abuse. So she's talking to her friends at school, telling them what's happened to her. And the school tells her to stop. There's a video recording that has been posted on Freedom for Gracie, where it's school staff telling Gracie and Angie that a lot of the kids have been impacted by Gracie talking about what happened to her.
Like a secret recorded audio?
Which, side note, Gracie says, again, nobody would listen to her. The police won't listen to her. Child services won't listen to her. The church won't listen to her. So, like, who is she supposed to talk to about it? And she has so much trauma, so she's talking to her friends about it.
I think there was a secret recording in the first video.
Who else? And the school administrators are heard saying,
I've had 3 parents over the weekend that said, my child came to me and asked me, what is sexual abuse? You know, where is this coming from? You know, so a lot of kids are being affected by, you know, what she's gone through and what she's telling people. And then they're so young, I'm talking about 10 and 11-year-olds, you know, so they don't know what to do with it. And then they go tell somebody else. And then it's like, I just don't want it to, like, become the talk of the school or to grow a life of its own.
I get it. I think it could be startling for some parents, but also it could be a great time to teach your 13, 14-year-old kid about abuse and what to do if you witness abuse, or if your friend tells you about abuse, or if you become a victim of abuse, or, I don't know, teach your kids not to abuse. The school, though, the tone they use makes it seem more like it's upsetting parents, it's upsetting the kids, they're not ready to have this conversation, so let's not talk about it. The school administration then goes on to worry out loud about this becoming the talk of the school, saying for her sake, it isn't just about 6th grade for her. This is, you know what I mean? These are her peers all the way up. So I don't want something that's going to be detrimental to her, that's going to, she's not thinking about the future. She's thinking of right now, but I'm thinking about the future and how this is going to follow her and her peers. And then I also have to think about what other students who are now having to deal with this. And not just from a school perspective, but as a mom who's raised daughters, I'm looking at Gracie's next 6 years, not just right now. And the things that are said and the opinions that are formed and all of this is going to affect her freshman year, her junior year. So they're all just worried about her.
So they heard, at this point, the school, all these adults and all these, you know, people heard what happened to Grace, because that's what she's telling everyone. And their concern is that's going to affect her future. That's going to affect everybody else's school life.
Yes, so I was able to dig really deep into some local forums. I think it's confusing and conflicting. Interestingly enough, more people on a local scale in Tennessee seem to be more on Aaron's side.
Okay, tell me more.
Now, Angie states that he waged a local campaign against her, spreading lies about her.
Okay.
And so that's why she had to take it public on social media to get the truth out there. But then other people locally are arguing that the teacher probably said it like this because the teacher doesn't believe the abuse happened, and the teacher believes that Angie is brainwashing the daughter. So this is the teacher's way.
I mean, that is
Way of saying you're brainwashing your daughter, and now you don't even understand the implications. Like, this is her life now.
Yeah, I mean, I get the other side, the devil's advocate side of, if we're assuming that Angie is a puppet master brainwasher, that she is possibly going to ruin her daughter's life if none of this actually happened, and she's just making it up because her mom is trying to get her to make it all up so that they can throw the dad under the bus and whatnot, because the mom's crazy, allegedly. But even though some people think she's crazy, some people don't think she's crazy, like, who knows what's real? If she is some sort of master manipulator, then wouldn't it be easy for her to fool people into thinking that she's sane? Question mark. I don't know. I get what is being said here, that she will ruin her life if it isn't real, and she's just making it up because of the mom? Question mark.
It's not just like a conversation she's having, like this is going to impact her.
Yeah, I guess,
yes.
Yeah, I guess the feeling is like I feel very conflicted because I feel like we don't know the full picture, right? What truly happened. We obviously don't want to spread lies or whatever, but what made them believe that Angie is lying, I guess? It's just so frustrating because the police are not investigating. But how do you know if this didn't, 100% sure that this didn't happen? Do we know this? We don't know this, right?
Well, I mean, like, there's no way to know, right? Other than just being like, okay, you said this happened, so we have no choice but to believe that it happened. Let's arrest him and put him away for X amount of time, right? Like, she's too old. There's nothing to, like, there's no proof. I don't know if there would have been proof back then, but there's like, what proof would you have now other than just someone's word? You just have to take our word for it, right? I'm not saying not to take our word for it, or they shouldn't just go arrest the guy. It's just, that's just how law works, right? You can't just take someone's word for it, unfortunately.
We don't know this. I also think maybe being a police officer in this case, being a social worker, being the judge in this case is trickier. These are trickier things where there are massive implications to whether you close an investigation or how you rule in the court system, because there are lifelong things like custody being held by one person or one person having supervised visitation. Like, there are lots of implications. I think it's weird that a lot of these third parties, like the school, are being the judge and the jury. If it were me, I don't think that would be how I handle it. It's just, okay, well, this is what's happening, and maybe it is a good time to talk to everybody about what to do if your friend is talking to you about abuse, or how to speak up after you feel like you have been a victim of abuse, how to not abuse people, like how to see the signs of abuse. I feel like that would be a great time. You know, I think there are heavier implications for specific roles, and they need to try and give some sort of verdict. Like the police, they need to have some sort of verdict in terms of closing a case or not. Same with social workers, same with a judge. But when you're just at a school, I don't know why you have to decide that maybe Angie is lying, so maybe I should handle it this way. Furthering Angie's point, there are videos of Aaron coming to school to pick up Gracie from school.
And I tried to play nice and be nice about it, but you've been with mom way more than you're supposed to, and way more than what the judge said. It doesn't matter what you think right now.
That was the secret recording from the first video.
Gracie has clearly told the administrators that her dad is abusing her, that she is terrified to go with her dad. And the tricky part is the judge has stated that she is to be placed in her dad's custody. So her dad's picking her up from school, and the headmaster is just telling Gracie that these allegations are old news and she's got to get in the car with her dad. It just gets so bad that the headmaster of the school puts out a video statement saying, please come to us so that we can give you the truth. I always say that we're not going to believe everything that your kids tell us about you, so please don't believe everything that your kids say about us.
What is going on?
That seems to be kind of the way that they do things. I don't know. I guess it's just weird. Again, there's no implication of guilt here through my wording. I'm just saying that, in my personal opinion, it's just a very weird situation. But when it comes to allegations that Angie has brought against Aaron, there isn't as much concrete, detailed evidence to the allegations as maybe a judge would want. It doesn't mean that these things didn't happen, but just the nature of a lot of assaults, the nature of being essayed by someone, allegedly by someone that is your guardian. The whole point is to not leave evidence. The whole point is to not get caught. So we don't really have much concrete evidence, but we do have heavily disputed pictures. Remember, we talked about the bruising on Gracie's upper thigh? Angie claims that it was from abuse. Aaron claims it was from a swimsuit. It's not clear. There's also another picture that Angie shows as evidence of Gracie's eyes. Her eye bags are super swollen. She has dark circles. Angie claims that this is after Gracie was with her dad for an extended period of time. She would come back, and this was clearly a sign of abuse. I feel like my eyes have looked like this before. It's like some sort of really bad allergic reaction. She did have eye surgery previously. I'm not sure what it was for, but there are mentions in a court transcript of Gracie having eye surgery and then moving into the primary bedroom with her parents for a while. So I don't know if this is from the eye surgery. I don't know if she's always had issues with her eyes. So there's just been all of these heavily disputed pictures. Everything is disputed is what I'm trying to say. So it's very hard to definitively say anything. But one thing that seems like...
Yeah, you can just show them a picture and be like, okay, this was because of this, or this was that. Like, you can't really be like, yeah, this is definitively what this is.
That's disputed is Grant Solomon's death. Most netizens think it's very suspicious.
Yeah, like, I'm fine with that being weird. That we try to, like, figure it out, right? Because we were drawing and doing all that stuff, but none of it made any sense. I don't remember if I was able to come to a decent conclusion on it actually happening or not, like how it would actually happen, but I don't know, I don't think you can. It's almost just like he was killed and then ran over. But it's like, how do you do that out in the open? You're on, like, you're literally out in the open with a highway right there with people driving by. Like, how do you just kill somebody, drag them into a ditch, and then roll a car over them? But that's the only thing that would make sense if it was like malicious things happening. It was. I think that's the conclusion I came to last time. Is that no matter if it was suspicious or if it was real, like the car did kill him on accident. So it doesn't matter if it was an accident or murder. It doesn't make sense either way. Like how did he get murdered, like in general, and then in this situation, or how did he die by accident? Like neither side makes sense.
Netizen writes, I mean, this makes no sense. Whoever is covering up this murder is an idiot. Everyone sees it, yet the justice system has done nothing. Aaron Solomon should be rotting in a jail cell for first-degree murder. Another comment reads, Angie was railroaded in her case, and she had to jump through all these hoops to even just be able to see her children. The courts made her out to be a mad woman, completely crazy and unfit, which is maybe why Angie felt compelled to take matters into her own hands by trying to hire a hitman who happened to be an undercover agent.
Yeah, this guy. I don't know if I'm like waiting for like a good break point. I feel like this is a decent break point just because we're about to transition to a new topic of her trying to murder her husband. Yeah, so far, I don't think my opinion has been swayed in either direction because we're saying but people think she made the whole story up for custody. I don't think we got to a point to make me believe that, question mark, other than, just taking opinions at face value that she's crazy and manipulative, her daughter's a liar. Why can't I remember the term where you just can't help but lie? Like, it was literally said this episode. I just can't think of the way to say it, but she's just a compulsive liar? Compulsive liar. That's what it is, I think. She's a compulsive liar, allegedly, but again, you just have to take that as face value. But then you can do the other thing, you can do that with the other side, where you just have to take what Gracie is saying at face value and be like, okay, let's lock him up. You can do that either side. You can say, okay, what he's saying is true or what they're saying is true. Or you can say what what they're both saying is true. Like, he did do this bad stuff, but she's also a compulsive liar. The mom also is a crazy manipulative person, psychopath. All these things can be true. They're not mutually exclusive, right? But there still could be some truth on the side of, like, he did this stuff to her, but she's also a liar at the same time. So it makes it hard to believe what she's saying if she is a liar, question mark. If people know that she's a liar, but I feel like only Aaron's the one who's saying she's a liar. Like, the daughter's a liar. But if she is, then it becomes a boy who cried wolf scenario, right? Where if she's always lying, but now she's trying to tell the truth for the first time, no one's going to believe her. Question mark. But yeah, it looks like now we're going to go into the Hitman arc, and we're all near halfway. I mean, not quite halfway. There's still an hour left, like 58 minutes left, out of where we're at 46 minutes now, so there's still 58 left. So nearly halfway. I think this is a good time to have our radical break, so I will be right back. We will be lighting the mood up for a second with some horror simulator, which this is VR again. Most of these radical breaks, well, not most of, all of them have been VR stuff so far. One day they probably won't be VR stuff, they might just be regular game stuff. Yeah, just to lighten the mood for a second. Granted, we are going to be playing a horror game, so lightening the mood is subjective, right? Because we're about to get some spooky stuff happening, question mark. Hopefully it's spooky and not lame. Yeah, we'll be right back. It'll be like a microsecond for you. As soon as I stop talking, we're going to be in a horror simulator, but for me it's going to be a few minutes. Alright, we are in horror simulator. Which, of course, I've already played this on the channel, what, 2 hours ago? Again, when this video goes up, it should have been 2 hours ago. Bit weird. Actually, I didn't even want to start here. I wanted to start down there so you could see me, since I don't know if I turn on the camera if it'll mess things up. I don't want to do that. We'll go and try to find the place. It's not that way. That shows you where how to, like, what these things do, which let's do that real quick before we actually play. You actually have to like move your hands like this if you want to run, which is silly. I'll just explain how all these instruments work. I'm just seeing like where I'm in the room. There we go. So the conch here, hold it to your ear. In a dark room, it'll make sounds. That's how you know that's what you need to use. This, all the eyes on this will light up if it has anything to do with the demon or whatever that you're hunting. This, if you spray it, which might be a ghost in here. No. But you spray it, something shows up, that'll be an item to use. This thing, rose grows on it, and if it burns like this, that means that's one of the items to use. When you see your breath like this, if you could even see that in the recording, can you see the breath? Yeah, kind of. If you pull this and it freezes, then it's one of the things that you should be using. This, if time goes backwards like that, then it's what you should be using. And then this, if a ghost appears inside this radius, then it's an item you should be using. And you're trying to find out the name of the ghost, demon, whatever that you're hunting. And then figuring out its name lets you win. That's just a rundown of how to play, because I didn't explain that in the video that I uploaded. I just played with no mic on. But I'm just gonna go over here real quick before we actually start a mission. This is the free version. I haven't bought the real version, but if anyone wants to see more of this, I'll think about buying it. If I actually have anybody saying, hey, I want to see you play more of that. Because it's only like one map and it's kind of small in the free version. So here we are. That's what we look like. There's only 4 options when you start off. I mean, at least in the free version. So this build, and then 3 different girls, which of course I've been choosing that one. I want to get the Plague Doctor's mask. If I can. I don't have enough money though. But if I could, I'll probably be buying that. Right here, I don't have enough money for this though. And now we can go ahead and leave. I probably should put these straps on because I'm just gonna have to keep holding them so they don't hit. Anyways, hold on, let me just get these straps on for these controllers. Alright, let's go. It's like when you're doing this to run, it causes issues. I'll try to keep my head still because I kind of realized before that when you're doing VR, your head's kind of like too like shaky and it doesn't look good in the video. I have to work on that. Also, I don't know if this is desynced or not. I try to get it right, but it might be too fast now, or hopefully around just right. Maybe it should be fine. Yeah, you only have this house to play on. It's for the other ones you have to pay. I have to actually buy the game. But we're not going to go on easy either. We're going to go on 2. If I do a second radical break, which I don't think I did, this is like halfway. Maybe I'll go to 3. But we can go to 2, like 2 times difficulty. So lights are off by default. Sanity loss is faster. Attacks more. Interactions, I don't know. I think it's just playing around with stuff, which is you need that for the cross. You have to aim your cross at something that's been touched, and if all lights turn on, then you got something going on. Mark demon position after delay, because it doesn't tell you where it is at the beginning. I should back up a bit. Get in the center of my room. There we go. So, first off, we need to fill up this with items. This is my go-to for starting off. And then I take both of these in both hands. I leave the conch here. So we're trying to get 3 items, and like if 3 items that interact with the thing, and so we can get its name, and each of these items is a sin. And then once you have all 3 sins, it'll tell you who exactly you're going after. Which, let me just put this down so you can see what I'm talking about. So these are the list of demons, I guess. And whatever demon it is, it has like 3 sins related to it. So you have to find the sins by using these items. I think the game's a bit easy because it's just like use item, if it works, then put it in. So it might be a bit too simple, I feel like. But I'm only playing on the free map, so who knows, maybe it actually gets more difficult. And the light switch in this particular building seems to always be in the same place, which is this way. Also, I'm already hearing stuff move. And I'll try to be stable as possible. I see this is something was touched here. Or it's like the demon is like right here somewhere. I'm just gonna put this down there. So if that burns, it's touching something. I don't know if I should. I don't want to put this down. Oh, it's just that. I don't think I can get away from that. It's just a spook. Because this is like a bad room to be in. So it was just sending a spook at me to lower my sanity. The lights still on in here? Yeah. Okay, so, put that down. It's the easiest one to do. I don't know if this is the room though. Yeah, it's not moving. Maybe it's upstairs, because what's that sound? Is it like a TV? I'm gonna turn this light off. Make it harder to... It must be upstairs. So we heard doors opening. This door's already open, so... Don't know what that is. Looking back at you. It still got me. Spook still got me. I couldn't figure out what that was. I haven't seen that one before, heard that one before. The lights are off, I don't know if they're... Put this over. We'll check that in a second. I need to see what my sanity is. We've been attacked twice. So we're down to 73. We can buy some potion to get sanity back, but I'm not going to do that. Oh, I actually have enough to buy the Plague Doctor mask. Now this door did close on us. I tripped a breaker. I'm just going to leave this here. Not good. Is there? just another spook. We just keep losing sanity. That got knocked down. And the water zone in here. Maybe this is where it's at. But the power is off. We keep getting attacked with spooks. Oh, another one? Really? Right there? No, there's a thing here. I assume we got away from that one. I really need to get downstairs and turn the lights on. I'm just gonna go outside. Okay, difficulty 2 is way harder. I'm at 50% sanity. I'm gonna do it. I'm assuming. No. Oh, nice. You can break the glass. So we're at 61 now. I still have 300. How many times can you do that? Maybe infinitely? It's kind of a relaxed kind of gameplay, being able to buy sanity potions forever. Okay, so difficulty 2 is way harder than the first one. I don't have the... Oh, really? I just turned the lights back on. That doesn't count. No. Don't know. Okay, thank you. I'm out. Okay, that's one down. So you are, I forget. Wrath. I don't know if that's the right room, though. I don't know what these do. Bible protects owner against a hunt. Do I hold that or what? Blow hard on the white sage and knighthead. Can blind nearby demons for a period of time. So this is kind of like Phasmo stuff. Revive your fallen teammates. Oh, that's cool. How many can you buy of these? 100 gold for that? That's not that bad. I was actually playing with a bunch of people in a map that isn't 2 feet big. Other world and allows you to communicate with the dead teammates. Why wouldn't I just spend $100? Oh, I guess you can only have 5 of these. This is one of these, though. 5 revives? Why wouldn't I just revive my teammate instead of talking to them? Question mark. I guess if you run out of these, then you buy a walkie-talkie? I don't know. And you can have 9 sanity things. Do I want a Bible? Do I have to hold the Bible? You know, we're doing this for the video, so I'm gonna buy a Bible. Give me that. Cool. Kind of what I would like. What I actually want is this list. If the devs... I need to make a video and talk about it. Because one of the things I would do is have this list of demons in a book like this that you actually look at and flip through and read, instead of having to bring up this menu, which breaks immersion, if you care about immersion or anything. I think the breaker's off again, so let me go turn that back on. And what room? It was this room that actually sprayed them. That's got full eyes. Oh, it's there. assume everything's fine. And the book is still in my hand. I never used it before, so I'm guessing that means we're okay. Light again. If there's a demon that hates the lights, this one might be it. Now, can I get into this room for like 5 seconds? Ghost? Can I just place this in the air? I don't want to drop the book. Oh, I can't use it here. Christ. I'm going to have to forget about the lights. Put that back down. Lights are off. I'm gonna let it hit me. I can't see where the... Oh, it was just a spook. I don't know where the... thing went. Shoot, I can't see. Is that it? Oh, there it is. Really? Get on my head. Putting this thing on can be an issue sometimes. What is going on? Oh, I don't have this book. I don't know why that's not working. Okay, so there's another one of these. Oh, that would have killed me. Okay, good. Thank you, Bible. Oh, my sanity is, like, terrible. Okay, so we got ourselves a game here. Yeah, more likely to be haunted. I feel like I need another Bible. I'm wasting all my money. I can't tell what room. It'll tell me what room. Won't it? It's been long enough. Have I not found it? I literally cannot find the room that this thing is in. It's somewhere upstairs. We could take a guess just off of wrath. Envy, gluttony. I haven't had the lights on long enough. Extremely difficult to locate. Doesn't initiate a hunt if people are nearby. I don't know about that one. This, I can't find it. Wrath. Pride, gluttony starts hunting earlier than other demons. I got attacked and I wasn't hunted. Imp has nothing. Don't think I've seen that. I have Wrath here too. Sloth hasn't activated in any room yet. Envy and Greed. More visible during hunts. I've seen this thing a lot. So what is it? The hand and this, but I haven't seen my breath. I can't use the heart until breath is activated. Everything's probably shaky now, but I need to hurry up and get over here, turn the lights on, and then see if I can find this room. Lights are off here. Oh no. Turn that off. The less lights are on. can't. Ah, there it is. Barely was able to turn around fast enough. Oh, got stuck there. Ah, it got me. I'm dead. I could not figure that one out. I could not find its freaking room. Was it AMON? No. Who is that? At the very end. I should have used the conch. Uses the abilities of other spirits. I wouldn't have been able to tell you if that's what's going on. Should we do another one? Because that one wasn't... we got bodied that entire time. $45 back. I spent like what? $160 on that? Though, shouldn't I have enough money for the... Plague Doctor mask? Even though it's gonna really put me back. Oh, wait, coin. I think this is not the right currency. I don't know what the coins are for. I had a bunch of gold, but maybe gold and these like the balloon things are different. Yeah, I see 100. Maybe this is like premium currency, so you can only get outfits if you I can maybe have a full game, or if you're, you know, spending on microtransactions. Need to get away from all this stuff. Okay, one more time. We're going in on difficulty 2. I could do this way faster. We're going to be in and out. Just checking everything's still okay over there on the stream. What the heck? Why was it in the wall? What the heck? Oh, we're gonna hold that. So you... We're just gonna get in there and get this thing. Oh, you know what? Hold on. It's really hard to put that headlamp on. Of course, the light's off by default. We gotta hurry up and run over there and turn it on. It's very quiet so far. I don't hear anything. When I came in earlier, in that first run, I immediately heard something. I don't know how to easily tell. If I do this, and it's this thing, so if you point the light at it, this only activates if there's light pointed at it, or if there's light in the room. I feel like it might have been in this room, I'm not sure. Just turn this off because it's making too much noise. Bedroom. That door's open. Okay, it was open, but not recently. Who has a picture like this in their house? Don't know if this is going to be a room. I'm only in here because the door was open already. Hiding spot. Need to remember that. This time it's more spookier because nothing's happening. Before it was just immediately just popped off. You hear that? The door just creaked. This door opens. That's been touched. I'm not getting 4, though. Alright. Don't know what. I'm gonna go downstairs. Okay. What room was it? This one. Did I drop this? Where did I drop it? The heck? This is a closet? What is this? Bathroom? Another bathroom. Bloody handprint there. Okay, well that's a problem. We lost the stopwatch. Maybe it fell through the floor, or did I drop it down here? Okay, I left it here. Let's see if I found the room. No, it's not telling me. I was expecting this to be faster than this. I didn't realize like this would be this difficult on like one notch up. Nothing. By nothing I mean okay, it showed itself. I don't know if that was from the was just attacking or stared at me. Well, still psychic attacked me, which is what that is. I don't know how to stop that sometimes. I guess it just saw me go in there. The lights off? No. That hasn't done anything. I just heard noise over here though, that hasn't gone off either. Can I not be attacked over and over again? It's there. I just wanted to look at it because allegedly looking at it makes it slow down. I don't know if you heard that there. That sound. That sounded like the hands. Oh, it was the hand turning off because the lights are off. This door opened though. I heard that. Is this the room? Can I stop being attacked, please? I think the power went off. This door, I think I left open. Yeah, this is way harder than I thought it was. Okay. Because when you're playing on the first difficulty, it's just free, basically. I cannot figure this thing out. I don't even have a single one yet. I need to get the conch, I think. That'll help, maybe. Just go into every room with the lights off. See if I hear anything. Oh, really? This thing's attacking way too much. And I don't know why it found me that time. Okay, let's see. Nothing. Just gonna go over here. Lights are already off. Oh, it's there. That's just a spook. Who cares? The lights on in here? Nothing. I don't. Here we go again with this. Oh, the light's on. I pressed the button by accident and actually went out of VR, so I gotta remember to remove that. We're probably just gonna have to just end on double losses. I did that so that it wouldn't do it by itself, hopefully. Yeah, this is so hard. Kind of like starting Phasmo for the first time. Really? Where? Oh, it's still behind me. Okay, I was able to run away long enough. Man, we got nothing. Gotta push back. Our sanity's so low. I can't figure this thing out. Oh, it told me the room. Okay, so upstairs. Oh, wait, actually, it just shows me where it's at in real time. So, yeah, go upstairs. Then there, and a left, and another left, and the room over here in the corner. Can I remember that? Or the room at the end. I just walked in. I don't think we're gonna be able to do it. Sanity's too low. I literally can't get anywhere near. room. I just got here. I think I'm out of luck. Was it really? Oh, it got me. Well, that's 2 in a row, so I should just give up. Okay, that's Horror Simulator. Way harder than I thought it was going to be. Since I played this a few times on the first difficulty. And no money. Well, $40. That'd be $40 just to go in and then die is pretty good, right? 40 gold. But yeah, way harder than it's been this entire time just because I cannot find the thing. And it's just hunting constantly. I guess I should be buying stuff to like stop it from hunting or keep it away just so I can find the room that it's in. But yeah, we'll figure that kind of stuff out in like more videos dedicated to the game rather than anything else. I just need to actually move over here real quick, then turn around. There you go. So yeah, we will be right back with our regularly scheduled entertainment, question mark. Back to the typical RAD stuff. Alright, we are back with more of the video. We still have like over an hour, well like near an hour to go with this. This video isn't gonna make it. Like the timing has not been good for me recently. It's currently about to be, well, it's 6:42. These videos usually go up at 8. So I'm not gonna make the deadline for today. So I'm gonna have to upload later, like 9 or 10. Unfortunately, I'll probably make a post about the video being late, but that sucks. Tomorrow I gotta do something. Plus, the Game Awards are tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to stream that too at 6:30. Starting at 6:30, or at least I'm gonna try. This timing and everything has just been terrible. I just need it to be February already, so all the stuff that's happening in real life can just go away. But anyways, I'm really upset that I wasn't able to like win a round and actually figure out these demons. Like we played 2 games in Horror Simulator, 2 rounds, and I was not able to figure out the demon either time. I don't know why it was so hard. Like the difficulty jump from difficulty 1 to 2 is crazy. In 1, it's just baby mode. 2, I might as well be playing on what I assume is the hardest difficulty, because that's kind of crazy. I couldn't even get a single sin in the second game. Only was able to get 1 in the first game.
5:30 p.m. Friday night, Aaron gets a phone call. It's not a number he recognizes, but he picks it up. Hello? It's the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Are you home? No? Well, I've got a man at your door right now. Aaron says he already knows it's probably to do with Angie. He's explaining to the investigator that he's actually out of town, ironically, for a wedding, a celebration of love. Aaron says the investigators pretty bluntly just tell him, well, since you're out of town, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, we arrested your ex-wife. She tried to hire someone to kill you, and she's being booked right now. Aaron says in that moment, he just, quote, I was in disbelief. I was in shock. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is not real. This is not happening to me. And since the divorce, Grant's death, and the subsequent social media discourse, Aaron has decided briefly to sue Angie and her friends.
Angie's friends? Who are they?
Yes, who are also helping her allegedly run social media accounts that are, Freedom for Gracie's website, her Instagram. Some of them are posting on their personal pages, but for defamation. Aaron's attorney argues in this defamation lawsuit that the defendants, Angie and her friends, are only concerned with destroying plaintiff and generating outrage on social media in an effort to raise money and sell products. While they have tried to paint themselves as noble defenders of free speech, in reality, this is a campaign of malicious bullying, cyberstalking, generating clicks, and spreading lies. So there are 3 camps of people. One, who believe that Aaron is an abusive killer, and he found a way to make Angie seem crazy so that no one in the justice system believes her, and he's getting away with not even just essaying his own daughter, but for killing his son, who was trying to save his sister.
Sure.
Sorry, what happened to the defamation lawsuit?
So he decided that he was not going to go through with it. He withdrew his defamation
Really?
lawsuit. And I think the main reason is this was like I forget how many pages that lawsuit was. It was a lot of pages and there was so many exhibits. It was hundreds of pages. The whole point of a defamation lawsuit is to argue that you have lost a lot of money. There was no way to prove that he lost money, and also the fact that he hired an attorney to put together this very heavy documentation. That's going to cost a lot of money. Defamation lawyers, they don't do anything pro bono typically, and they don't just like write a whole lawsuit and file it for free. So I think it would have just burned money. So again, or he could have known that he's lying about being defamed, right? I don't know, right? You could spin it either way, but just let's say benefit of the doubt. It could be just the money wasn't making sense. It could be also the fact that he knows that Angie maybe doesn't have money. So it's like, okay, you're spending all of this money. Angie doesn't have money to give, even if you win.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like you sue somebody who has no money, like you're just wasting your money to be like, yeah, see, they defamed me, but now you have no money and they have no money. So it's like, what was the point? Just to prove your point, I guess is the point, but is it worth it?
Win.
God.
And if she's got nothing to lose, she could just make another account and keep posting about you. And then you got to go through another, it's.
I see. That makes sense.
Or it could be the fact that he knows, allegedly, some things Angie claims could be true, could be the allegation. But, everyone wants to see it a specific way, so you could see it all the ways. Now, you have the first camp of people who believe that Aaron is evil. Then you have the second camp of people that believe that Aaron isn't particularly a great person, but Angie also seems to be very problematic. They believe that she's coming up with stories, whether she believes it or not is unclear, but she's convincing her kids of these stories and turning them against their dad. Then you have the third camp of people. They believe both of them suck and both of them are abusive, probably in their own ways. They think that Aaron is suspicious, especially in connection with Grant's passing, but they also believe that Angie is strange in the way that she's going about everything. So the three are, to put it simply, Aaron is bad, Angie is bad, and both of them are bad.
Sure. Oh, is this a...
From executive producer.
Wow. I should have just waited a few seconds. I didn't realize there was going to be an ad here. Is there any ads anywhere else I can know? I wanted to do another rad break at the end just because I want to win a round on camera in this video. I mean, in the last video I won, or in the video that I uploaded earlier today, I won because it wasn't difficult, but I want to win on camera in this video, so I might play again at the end so that if anyone wants to skip it or not care about it, they can just do that. I mean, you can skip whenever you want. I'm not holding you hostage, right? If you don't want to watch the radical breaks, you can just skip, right? Again, I'm literally not holding you hostage, gun to your head, telling you, hey, watch the radical break. If you don't want to watch it, just skip to the back to the reaction, right? But we'll be back. I'm going to skip this, of course, of Hulu. I'm guessing there's a show on Hulu.
What happens when a funeral home cannot fit a body into a casket? I mean, it's a particularly niche problem that I don't think most of us would be on the receiving end of solving, but apparently Williamson Memorial Funeral Home in Franklin, Tennessee has that exact problem. And according to Angie Solomon, she believes their solution was to break her son's ankles so that he would fit into the casket. And now this is from Daily Mail, so it could be as credible as a rock that just flew in through your window with a note. But it states that Angie saw Grant's feet, they were contorted. This is during a private family viewing prior to the funeral, and she demanded that the lower portion of the casket be open so that she could see what the hell is going on. She apparently tells Daily Mail that she almost fainted when she looked inside the casket, and there was nowhere on the hospital records that indicated that his ankles were injured, but they looked like they had been broken. So it must have been done by the family home in order to fit him into the casket. No, because there's no other solution, there's no other reason for it, there's no other answer. Then it's been alleged that someone from the funeral home told her that they broke Grant's ankles so that he could fit in there. These allegations kickstart a Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance Board investigation, and they have, at their board meeting, a statement. There was no evidence present other than the mother's recollection that the descendant's ankles had been broken, as alleged. The funeral home has said after the conclusion of the Tennessee board meeting, these allegations are intentionally defamatory, especially knowing the closure of the complaint with the Tennessee board. So ultimately they say this is not true. There's no evidence that this has happened other than Angie Solomon's word. But others think...
I'm guessing he's already buried though, so the only way to figure that out would be to unbury him and look at his body, right? Unfortunately, which no one's going to do that. So you just have to, again, another situation where you have to take her for her word.
That it's weird because just 14 months after Grant's death, Angie Solomon's son's death, the funeral home is sold to a new owner, which could point to a bigger conspiracy, or it could just be a very normal sale. But clearly, this whole situation does beg a bigger question. Is Angie Solomon unwell? Is she accusing people of things that are not real, or is there a bigger conspiracy at hand? So we've covered pretty in depth Aaron is bad. Let's go through Angie is bad. Aaron's big claim is that Angie is mentally unstable and has been. The judge clearly saw that in 2013 during their divorce proceedings and placed primary custody in his care. But even with that, he states that he wanted her to be part of the kids' lives. So he let them see her more than they were allowed to see her, as decided by the judge, adjudicated by the judge. And she has been planting seeds in their minds ever since then. More or less, these are his claims. That Gracie has been brainwashed via parental alienation, which is when one parent alienates the child from the other parent by spreading lies and manipulating them. It's actually a pretty common thing, but, to believe that her dad Aaron has been essaying her since she's a kid. He believes the video is part of that evidence. The court even decides that because of that video that Gracie posted, they need to place her in DCS custody because it's just, quote, fear of psychological harm. When Gracie posts that video on YouTube in 2021, she was in Angie's custody. After that YouTube video goes up, Gracie is briefly taken out of Angie's care by the Department of Child Services because they think that there is fear of psychological harm being done in the household. One of Angie's former friends even tells the judge, Angie will say whatever she needs to say to get whatever she wants. She can be extremely persuasive to a grown adult. How much more can she influence a child? I am appalled that she has destroyed Gracie's relationship with her father and completely disregarded Gracie's best interest in privacy in mounting this campaign against Aaron. Aaron's lawsuit
It's kind of like, why would your own friend, say this about you?
against Angie states that Angie and her side have allegedly shared highly confidential documents and testimony from juvenile court proceedings that contain sensitive information about their children with the intent of those being shared online. So his whole argument is like, if she were a good mother, she wouldn't even do this. Others are arguing, well, she did go to the police. She did go to child services multiple times before resorting to this. It's not like this was the first step in her process. So people are confused. I think each side has their own belief. The whole thing, though, Aaron is saying Angie is ruining Gracie's life without even considering what she's doing, all for the sake of taking him down and getting donations. He states in his lawsuit, I do not blame Gracie for these ever-changing allegations. I believe she is merely a victim of severe parental alienation by her mother. She has been hearing horrible and untrue things about me from her mother since she was a small girl.
My name is Gracie Solomon. I'm 14 years old, and I'm here to tell my story. I just want to say before we get into any of this that it's coming straight from me. It's all me, and no one else. So, once again.
In the video, Gracie
Yeah, like, what is she looking at though? She's not looking at the camera. She just keeps looking at what you'd assume a person, because it looks like she's talking to a person. To the left if you're the person. To the right if you are Gracie. So yeah, to Gracie's right of the camera, or to the left of the camera if you're from the other person's perspective. Like, she keeps looking over to the right. It's like, who is there? Someone back there? I'm guessing her mom? Question mark. Can you stop looking at her and look at the camera? Because then that makes it suspicious, unfortunately, right? And you don't want to look suspicious.
Gracie states that she's doing this on her own free will. But later in a podcast, Gracie's not there, but Angie states that because of that video, Gracie was placed in DCS custody, and she says, for the video that she didn't even willingly do.
For the video, she didn't even willingly do.
AKA, so did she willingly do the video by her own free will, or was it not? I don't know.
Oof, that's bad.
For Aaron's lawsuit against Angie, he provides a lot of declarations, sworn documents by people who want to share their perspective with their judge, mainly anti-Angie perspectives, which either means a lot of people don't like or don't trust Angie, or this could be the good old boys club at work. I don't know. I guess it's up for you to decide which one is true. The funeral director gave a declaration to the judge where they state that Angie was there with Aaron when the entire family purchased grave plots near Grant's gravesite. So she's saying, I'm so shocked that because I went online, and Angie is making it seem like she came across this information and was so shocked and thought it was like, oh my God, all I could think about was murder, like he's gonna murder us, basically. But the funeral director states, I asked who would be handling the financial part of the arrangements. Miss Solomon was adamant that Mr. Solomon would be handling all contracts and payment, and that she would not be responsible for the payment. Basically saying that Angie was the one that wanted it more than Aaron, it seems. They write, any suggestion that these plots were selected or purchased without the knowledge or input of Angie Solomon is not accurate. Side note, she also states how they have strict policies of not having loose items on the grounds. Like, it's very hard for them. This is actually across most funeral homes and memorial grounds. You can only have very specific vases that are usually like welded into the signage, the marker, the grave marker.
You cannot put anything on next to it on there?
You cannot go and place teddy bears. Okay, so typically what happens is the weekend of a funeral, you can.
Right. They don't want things just everywhere.
But you cannot, because just maintaining the ground, they have to mow the grass. A lot of people pay a lot of money for specific funeral sites because they want their loved one's gravesite to be well maintained and the grass to be lush and all of these different specific things. And so it is a strict policy that they're not allowed to have loose items on the ground. It's very hard for them to maintain. Well, for Grant's gravesite, the funeral director says in her declaration that for a long time people were leaving baseball stuff, like baseballs, loose baseballs, baseball bats, like little baseball figurines, baseball hats, like all of these things. And the funeral home tried their best to be accommodating, not just for the weekend of the funeral, but even for a little while after, because they were thinking, well, this is a young man who died abruptly, so we want to be as accommodating towards any friends or family who are just making their way out to the gravesite to pay their respects. But then eventually it's like, okay, now we got to stop the loose baseballs and all of these things. She moves the baseball items from Grant's gravesite. She's like, I moved it. And Angie comes in furious, and she keeps accusing Aaron of removing all of the things that she left. And the funeral home director calmly states, like, it was me that removed it because, as I've told you before, you're not allowed to leave these things here. And like, I thought you knew, but anyway, now you do know, right? She thought that was it. But then, quote, I later found out that someone posted on social media that the items were taken off of Grant's grave, and the implication was that Aaron Solomon had the items removed, which again was not the case and had been explained to Miss Solomon. Now, the strangest part of this is that Angie's family supports Aaron, not Angie. According to Aaron's lawsuit, he states that during—
What? Is Angie's family supports Aaron? Question mark. So again, another like R.A.D case scenario where the family of, was his name John? Well, let's call him John right now. The family of John, I don't think that was his name, but again, was actually on the side of who we assume to be the bad guys. they have been completely brainwashed into believing that Reed did it. Was her name Karen? Karen Reed? They were completely on the side that Karen Reed did it. And not, the huge conspiracy cops and high officials and FBI people who are all connected to each other and all. I know this term is going to be very inappropriate for my channel, but it's just a perfect term that I actually mentally use or even have said. I just don't say it on the channel because it's usually pretty PG, but this huge circle jerk of FBI, police officers, government officials, etc., just all trying to get Karen in jail and have her be the fall guy for it. Like the guy who died's family actually thinks she's did it. So it's again another situation where this is just the opposite of that case, where they all, like, it's playing out the same way, but except she does get in trouble. Right? Like, everyone's on his side. She goes to jail. The family is against her. Her own family is against her, etc., etc. Like, it's similar, not exactly similar, but similar enough.
In the divorce proceedings, Angie's own dad testified that Aaron never abused the kids. I don't know what that testimony means. I don't think it means anything, because I think that a lot of abusers get away with abusing victims with nobody knowing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what that means. But he allegedly states that he's seen Angie brainwash the kids against their own dad. Angie's former friend that testified about the whole Tim McGraw thing, the country singer that fell in love with Angie, that friend. Yeah, well, she writes further in her declaration for the judge that Angie tends to live in her own chaotic fantasy world. Oh, so even about the whole fact that Aaron was either fired or let go or walked away from his job at the news station, that's been highly debated. Angie states that he was pushed into a corner to resign because they found inappropriate, not safe for work files on his work computer, and they didn't want a scandal. So he then had to quit. Aaron.
Yeah, I think we remember that from the first video. And I think his thing is just like he didn't want to be pushed back into his job or whatever, the other job, I don't know.
Is saying that's not at all what happened. In fact, I got promoted to being a morning news anchor, but they wanted restructuring to happen and they wanted me to go back to sports. I didn't want to go back to sports, and Angie was the one that was like, hey, then you should go find a company that values you for what you're worth and not just stick with this
Yeah, that's what they said in the first video.
company and let them bulldoze you. Angie's friend states that was the case. She says, quote, Angie started a very dramatic Facebook blog about the horrible things that WSMV was supposedly doing to him. I remember thinking it was not very professional and would probably ensure that he would not be hired by any other news organization. So she's saying, Angie never mentioned at the time when this was happening, at least to her, that there was any sort of pictures found on his device. In fact, it seemed like she was mad at the news station. And she was going on Facebook and writing these things, which we couldn't pinpoint, but, I thought it wasn't professional because then he's not going to get hired by any other news station.
I see.
I will say another fellow news anchor of Aaron's posted in 2011, "Dear friends, you may have noticed my longtime friend Aaron Solomon hasn't been at my side at my news desk. I wanted to let you know that Aaron has decided to resign. Some changes were coming, and although he was asked to stay with Channel 4, Aaron decided to leave and concentrate on him and his wife's business. I will miss my friend, as I'm sure you will too. I appreciate your concern and your loyalty to Channel 4. Blessings, Holly."
Okay, so it sounds like there's no bad blood when it happened.
Yeah, so I imagine because Holly was his morning segment fellow news anchor, so it was the two of them. And I imagine if they found not safe for work things on his device, if I were Holly, but again, I don't know Holly, right? If I were Holly, I wouldn't write that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, good.
What kind of things are we talking, Alex? I wasn't really thinking too much about that. Are we, was it things that are illegal, or is it just like, hey, I'm watching corn? YouTube. I said corn with a C. Was he watching corn on his device? The device that belongs to them? Because I feel like person watching corn on their work time is actually probably more common than you would think. So to be fired for that is not weird, but I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't be doing it, but would it have really just been because of corn, or is it because of it was illegal corn, or was it all just a big line? Like, he literally did not want to have that job, so he just quit.
Riddance, that was crazy.
Yeah,
he's not a good person, and I hope he never gets a position of power, and I hope he can never get hired anywhere else ever again. I've seen people say, well, what if he and Holly were having an affair? And I think it's I think if it's one person, if it's just the pastor or just Holly or just the teacher but I think it becomes a very widespread net that's occurring right now. So it's all a bad look for Angie. However, I do think this part is weird, but according to court transcripts from this particular hearing back in 2013, the judge literally states that he never hears proof from witnesses. That's not his thing. But he wants to bring in Angie's dad to hear from him and get his side of things, even though he normally doesn't do that. So like, why are we doing that now, right? I don't know. The judge continues to ask Angie's dad about what happened after, and he's focusing on the shower incident. That's like the big
Okay, so he's getting her dad in, but why the dad specifically? You could argue that he's doing this because everybody's dogpiling on Angie, and who better to not dogpile on Angie but a parent? Question mark. So maybe he's trying anything to get someone to be on Angie's side. But then that backfires because the dad's not on Angie's side either.
biggest thing about the divorce proceedings is, did Angie try to self-exit for attention in the shower? Because remember, yeah, he's saying it was for attention. Or did Aaron try to kill her? So the judge is asking Angie's dad about what happened, even though he wasn't at the house at the time that this took place.
Yeah.
But he's being asked, and the judge is giving time to this matter, and I thought that was weird. But he doesn't even see her at the hospital. Angie's dad doesn't even see Angie at the hospital after this shower incident. So I really don't know why he's being questioned in any of this. But he says, you know, for Aaron, he had to, when he found Angie in the shower, he had to fastly get the dryer cord from her neck. And again, I don't know how he knows this. This is just hearsay because Aaron probably told him. And that he did not have time to take a picture with his cell phone. And when he called me, he was outside the house, I think. So remember how Aaron finds her in the shower. She comes to, she's fighting him, punching him, and is like, get off of me. And then according to Aaron, she's like, I'm going to beat you up for 2 hours until the kids wake up. So then he leaves the house, leaving her with the kids. And then he goes in the Kroger parking lot to call Angie's parents, which I also think is weird. I think
Yeah, that was the weirdest part. Like, you're leaving this suicidal, crazy person with your children and just leaving by yourself to save yourself. That doesn't make any sense. It makes you look really bad.
it's very weird. If I am having some sort of situation, I would imagine you call the police. I would imagine you call the hospital for my own well-being or something. I would think it's weird if you call my parents, especially parents if I'm not getting along with them. It's one thing if I get along with my parents, and I do, but for Angie, she never got along with her dad. She filed an order for protection against her dad before this happened.
And he found her because, allegedly, he found her because she tried to exit.
Yeah.
So then he leaves her alone
Yeah.
for hours.
Yeah.
With kids.
With the kids.
Yeah.
And if you would think that someone is in a state of self-exiting, they could also take the kids with them.
Yep.
That's so weird. So it sounds like from both sides, there's some kind of altercation that happened that night. We just don't know what exactly was the cause.
Yes. And the only person that might know would be Grant. Because according to Angie's story, Grant woke up. And that's why Aaron stopped trying to kill her.
According to her.
Yeah.
Right.
But according to Aaron, neither of the kids ever woke up. And he didn't want to alert the kids. The way Aaron describes it, it's almost like this type of stuff happens all the time. So it's not even like I'm going to call the police. So it's not like a shocking moment. It's kind of like, here goes Angie again. That's how he describes it, and why he's not calling the police or taking the kids or like doing something very drastic. Now, remember how Aaron he's in the Kroger parking lot by himself, and he calls Angie's dad. And Angie's dad tells the judge, Aaron milled around the neighborhood, until about 6 o'clock, went back to the house when the kids woke up so that they wouldn't be concerned, why daddy was gone. We didn't go. He's talking to the judge about him and his wife. He's like, we didn't go. We waited. We just waited for time and prayed to God about this matter. And then we went to our church services that morning. In which situation would one pray and go to church after your son-in-law calls you to say that your daughter tried to self-exit? Like, I feel like you should pray. Yes, that's great. I think praying can do a lot of things. But in this specific time frame, perhaps medical intervention could do, I don't know, a tiny bit more.
I think it's just we could argue that maybe they don't have a good relationship, which is maybe why they are going against her and being on Aaron's side, just because they just don't really like their daughter that much, question mark. It could be just that a strained relationship between them, and it's like, it's just Angie doing Angie things. Like, we don't want to deal with this. We're just out of sight, out of mind scenario. So let's just go to church and hope that fixes it instead of dealing with it ourselves.
He's asked, did you want to see her? The judge is like, did you want to see her eventually when she goes to the hospital? And he says, certainly. No, I take that back. I don't think it would have been good for us to have seen her at that time. I don't think that she would have wanted to see us under those circumstances. We had to admit her. He also admits, I think she's just a very nervous individual. Describe how, right? When we're sitting around a lot of times and we're talking, she is fooling with her fingers. She could just be so bored of you. I don't know. But he continues, and this is something that's prevalent with her for some time, and I'm just lost for any other descriptions, Your Honor. It's just weird. A lot of netizens say it's a conflicting feeling. On one hand, these testimonies don't do Angie favors, but they also kind of don't do Aaron any favors. Especially the fact that the judge at the time states that he found Angie's dad to be very vague, but still credible. Vague and credible. Those are two words that are typically not put together in a way that makes people feel reassured.
Sure.
Then later on in the custody battle and divorce proceedings, Angie is ordered to undergo a forensic mental health examination ordered by the judge. The judge also chooses which doctor would see Angie. Dr. Freeman. Dr. Freeman allegedly states that Angie is fine and well. The judge throws out the examination.
Oh, that's weird.
According to Angie, the judge does this for no reason at all that she can understand. Just decides, never mind, I'm not going to use this as a factor of my consideration for anything. Forget we ever did that. That's not the only thing the judge refuses to let into evidence. But according to Angie's side, quote, the judge would not let this be presented because he looked at Angie and said, you wrote this yourself. You are mentally ill. If you send one more letter to me, I'll have you thrown in jail.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's according to Angie, though.
Yeah.
Not court transcript.
No, according to Angie.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there are parts of the court transcript where the judge is like, I think you're lying to me. I think you're lying to me, and I think you're unwell. Yeah, I will say not helping Angie's case is that this person who wrote this letter wants to remain anonymous, so it's not like it could be easily cleared up right now, whether or not the judge is right. However, the letter reads in short, my name is blank, redacted. I'm writing to share my concerns. It goes on to talk about how Aaron is not a great coach at kids' sports games. However, Angie is a great coach at kids' sports games.
What the heck does it have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with anything.
And then, quote, comments from citizens reflecting Aaron's behavior have been the following. Something's not right about Aaron. Secretive, sneaky, shifty. He has a lack of eye contact, he's awkward, and he's untrustworthy. So it's slightly vague. I don't think that it would have been helpful regardless, but the judge doesn't allow it, even though...
That feels like, I don't know who that was supposed to be written by, but that just sounds like something that she wrote.
Other vague things have been allowed, like the finger fidgeting.
Yeah.
However, I will say the judge is weird. At one point, Aaron's defense attorney, while questioning Angie's dad on the stand, who is clearly not doing his daughter any favors, the attorney asks him, does Angie lose her temper easily? Angie's attorney objects because that's a very leading question, to which the judge responds, it's close, but I'm going to allow it. I'll allow it. Auntie Bev strikes again, okay? So they allow it. And Angie's dad responds, yes, she does.
Auntie Bev was one of the judges. So there's two more, right? The first judge was Auntie Bev, right? And then the second one's the other guy who was actually competent, question mark. Yeah, Auntie Bev was from the R.A.D case that I keep mentioning, because this basically is just a hard parallel to that case.
However, the judge is like, can you give us a specific example of how she loses her temper easily? And he says, I believe my son-in-law has briefed us on. I'm asking things that you have witnessed. The only time she lost her temper with me was on the phone, the last conversation we had. Okay, so does she lose her temper easily or just one time? That doesn't sound like someone that has a short fuse. The judge then asks him, what part of her behavior was causing concern? Because her dad testifies it didn't feel safe for her to be around the kids. He doesn't even feel safe taking a nap if she's in his house. The judge is asking, like, is she hallucinating? Is she seeing things that don't exist? Is she paranoid? Like, what does she think people are out to get her? Oh, yes. Give me an example of that. I just wish I could recall them. She's always had a very jealous heart towards her husband, feeling that he was always involved with other women, and she's expressed to us a lot. And I don't know what kind of illness that would be, under what entitlement that would be under, but Your Honor, I just can't give you an exact illness. I know that I would be very concerned with her being with my grandchildren at this time. To which Angie's attorney pipes up and is like, what if Mr. Solomon was having contact and communication or relationships with other women? What if your daughter was really telling you the truth about that? Ma'am, I'm a man of the Bible, and I believe in truthfulness. And I try to, I just despise in my life constantly hearing turmoil. Yeah. Oh. So my feeling about the dad is, even if the abuse is happening, he's not going to listen.
Yeah.
That tells me everything I need to know about the dad. So, like, that tells...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's just out of sight, out of mind. I can't be bothered to deal with this. God will handle it kind of situation, I think, with him. Or maybe both parents. I don't know if we really heard much about the mom.
His entire
Where's the mom?
nothing, at least to me personally. Constantly hearing turmoil and this going on and that going on and this going on. And I just asked you, sir. I never believed it. I would never believe it until you showed me proof. But after all of that, the judge states that Angie can no longer bring new claims against Aaron for at least 6 years until Gracie is at least 18 years old. A judge declares that Angie is an abusive litigant and blocks her from fighting Aaron in court until 6 years later, which is incredibly aggressive, right? But it is stated in Aaron's new lawsuit that a lot of it has to do with the fact that during their divorce, someone had reported to the Department of Child Services, like during the divorce proceedings, that Aaron Solomon is abusive. And they investigate and they close the case. They don't find any abuse. Doesn't mean that there wasn't abuse, but they state that they don't find any abuse. Now, Aaron Solomon is like, I'm pretty sure Angie did that to get the upper hand during the custody battle. Angie testifies on the stand. No, I didn't. So the judge orders DCS workers to report who made the initial accusation, and they more or less state that it was exactly Angie Solomon. The report from the divorce...
Because now it's like, how many people are going to be lying in the city, right? Because we're saying it's the same thing you could say with the other scenario with the R.A.D case. Like, how can you really say that all these people are going to be in a conspiracy together? But even though that does seem like the case. But now, like, okay, even, well, CPS, I don't know what they're calling it, but even CPS is like, yeah, she was the one who filed the case to do this. And we're going to say they lied? Because what do they have to gain by lying, right? Just random CPS people.
Divorce courts read, the court finds that Ms. Solomon has not been honest with this honorable court as it relates to the referrals to the Department of Child Services. She in fact made the reports herself, which again, does that mean Angie is insane and is willing to do anything to win this divorce and custody battle, such as bring forth false allegations against Aaron? Or does it mean that Angie is so desperate for someone to finally protect her and the kids that fine, she lied about it because nobody believes her, so why would she say she reported it because nobody believes her? I guess it's up to you, because we are all legally allowed to have our own opinions. That is, we're not allowed to have free healthcare, but we at least get free opinions in this country, so that's fucking great. But later, the court documents reportedly read that it will not be ordering parental time with Angie because, quote, the court's great concern with the false statements made and Ms. Solomon's overall lack of honesty with this honorable court since these proceedings first began. The most damaging testimony to Mrs. Solomon came from Mrs. Solomon herself. Simply stated, Mrs. Solomon, I do not believe you. And I will say there are some parts where it is harder to believe Angie in the transcript. So during the divorce proceedings, Aaron's attorney confronts Angie and states, you told the judge that you don't have any money. Because that's the whole thing. Like, they do fight over money in 2013. You told the judge you don't have any money, but you raised $17,000 over the internet. So this is in 2013. This is before most of the nation even knew about the Solomon family. But you raised over $17,000 over the internet by telling people that he stole your babies. So she allegedly went on Facebook and alleged that Aaron Solomon kidnapped the kids from her. And she needs money to get them back. So allegedly people donated $17,000. And what did you do with that money? And she says, first of all, I didn't tell anyone I needed $17,000. Did you raise $17,000? No. How much did you raise? So far, I've only been able to acquire $3,900. So some people are pointing to this and connecting it with, it does seem like she's always looking for donations. And, the judge is upset with her mainly because the judge is saying, why would you write on Facebook that he kidnapped your babies? Because I signed the restraining order. So technically, you weren't allowed to be around your kids. So, like, technically, if anyone's to blame, it would be me. But you went online and wrote that your ex-husband kidnapped your kids, or, like, your husband kidnapped your kids. And then she, like, states that her Facebook was hacked. And so that's, like, really not a good look. But probably the part that reflected the worst on Angie in the divorce is the shower incident. Remember how in part 1, Angie kept saying her version where she alleges that Aaron tried to kill her. Aaron's version is that Angie tried to self-exit. Well, during...
I feel like there's no way we're going to be like, okay, she fabricated that. Not necessarily fabricated, but we can believe that. But she's going to slip up in this situation and say that isn't actually what happened, or what?
It comes up a lot, and according to the lawsuit Solomon v. Solomon and transcripts from the original Solomon divorce proceedings, which we were able to get our hands on, Angie allegedly sent messages to Aaron immediately after the incident. Text messages that read, quote, but it's over for me now. You live with it. I'll always be watching over you. So this is my last writing on this earth. Quote, I guess I will prepare for what exists for the cowards on the other side. And with religion, there is usually a connotation of self-exit being a cowardly thing.
Right.
And frowned upon. So
yeah, you go to hell, ? I think. Well, I don't know. That's what I assume happens, right? That is what's supposed to happen if you do that, is, you go to hell.
The word coward is heavily debated. She writes, I am not trying to self-exit. I made a bad choice for attention. So now it's almost insinuating that it was not a self-exit attempt, but it was a fake self-exit attempt for attention. But I accept responsibility for that choice, and I have learned why I did it and won't repeat it. I'm hysterical, and I'm ending it all. You are gone, and you took my babies again. I won't be alive through this day. I found one bullet in the chamber, and I left a note for the babies. I can't live this way. I called mom, and I told her and dad goodbye. I never wanted to hurt myself, but I can't stand this pain, and you won't talk to me. You took my children. Again, I hope one bullet does the trick because I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. I guess this is for old Ange. I'm scared to do this, but I can't live without you, Gracie and Grand. Here goes. Then another thread where Aaron texts Angie, and I have a picture of you in the shower when you tried to self-exit with the blow dryer. Angie responds, oh, Aaron, you took a picture before you tried to help me? That shows me where this has gone. Just go find another. I staged that anyway, but who cares? Use it against me. Now I'm a complete wreck. I won't be making any field trip or to the school. I'm beyond hysteria. I gotta calm down. All I wanted was to be loved, nothing more. Unfortunately, I wouldn't kill myself, but you would memorialize my faking it to get attention and use it against me instead of loving me.
That is crazy. So that came out.
Did she actually say that, or did he say that? Did he take her phone and say that to himself? ? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of if we're going to be like, oh, she didn't actually say that. But that's just hard, solid evidence of her doing these things. It's almost too good of evidence, which is what I'm trying to say, but it could just be that easy.
During the divorce. Wow.
Angie states she doesn't recall sending these messages. She just knows that Aaron is the one that put the cord around her neck. Then she's presented with another text message that reads, I'm hysterical, I'm gonna end it. And she says, quote, I do not recall sending that. I did not see anything on here that says that I sent that. So they have a recess where the judge is like, I'm gonna go eat my sandwich in the back in the chambers, and I'm gonna Angie, give me your phone.
What?
So they take Angie's phone, and they find the text messages.
They scroll back and wow.
She says then, I don't recall saying that, but if I did, I just said it because I knew it would bring him back home with the kids. So I just said it because I knew that's the only way he would get back. There's a text message from Aaron to Angie around that time that reads, please don't do anything drastic. I love you. The kids love you. You need to get more help. Seriously, I'm worried about you. Which some people believe goes to Aaron's argument that Angie is unwell and is constantly doing these types of things and accusing him of things and is unfit. Then Aaron...
I don't know, this is kind of like the hardest evidence for anything in this entire case that we've seen so far.
His attorney presents another email that Angie allegedly sent Aaron that reads, I'm not wanting to self-exit. I made a bad choice for attention, but I'm accepting it. And so she's asked, what are you talking about in this email? And she states, in order for Aaron to stay at home with me, I had to take ownership of what happened. Tell us what you're taking ownership for. Like, what bad choices are you taking ownership for? Angie's explaining that in their marriage, when anything goes wrong, any sort of violence takes place, she has to take ownership and fault for it in order for him to come back. And all she wants is her kids to come back because she doesn't trust him with her kids alone. So she's saying, this is just because this is what needs to be done. I will say a lot of netizens understand to some degree. They say that in toxic abusive relationships, the abusive partner will have you saying things or taking responsibility for their abuse by saying that you will work on not triggering them to violently assault them, things of that nature. So she's stating that's the only reason that this happened. Now, the reason that a lot of netizens are a little conflicted about whether or not to believe Angie in this scenario particularly is that she doesn't just outright tell the judge that. I think perhaps, maybe, if she had said, hey, this is what happens because of A, B, C, and D, but then others are arguing, well, maybe she kind of tried, but she's not that good with communication. She's not that good with expressing what's happening. Maybe she's just discovering that she's being abused, so it's hard for her to put into words why this is happening to her, what's happening. But she does state, like, that's how I would get him to come back. But others argue if that's the case, why did she lie and say she doesn't remember sending them? But maybe she doesn't remember sending them, but they were on her phone. So it's just all sorts of complicated. And then the judge does something.
Why wouldn't you just delete those messages?
That is annoying. The judge asks her, why did you even want him to come back? And she's like, because the kids, and I don't know, like, she doesn't have a good reason, which again, like, a lot of people in abusive relationships don't have great reasons. But the judge is like, and this is the man who you said put a cord around your neck and you wanted him back? So the judge, I think, is not particularly my favorite judge, does not seem to have, at least in my opinion, the best understanding of toxic abusive relationships, whether it is Angie and Aaron or if it's not. But it's just, why would you ask that? He continues.
Sure, that though it feels like something that would get an objection in the Karen Reed case, if someone else, other than the judge would have asked that, right? You would have heard an objection and then sustained. That was the joke, right? Objection, sustained. And it's like, Jesus Christ, Bev. They were just dogpiling Karen so hard constantly, like the prosecution question mark and the judge just objection, sustained, objection, sustained, objection, sustained. It was like a broken record player. You could like bet lottery or gamble on whether or not she was going to say sustained, and you would be like right 99% of the time. It's kind of like one of those things. Like if someone said this in that court, on the defendant side, or asking like weird questions like that, it would have been, you would have got objected and sustained.
Used to ask, why would you want that man back? I wanted him back because I love him. I loved him then. But what you're saying to me doesn't make any sense. These are all the reasons why people are starting to, even in 2025 after Angie's arrest, are starting to turn on Angie, and they believe that there's a lot that she's hiding that we don't know about. And they're hoping that potentially a criminal trial, a trial for murder for hire plot, will bring answers finally. A lot of people believe that there are too many unproven claims going in too many different directions. Angie has accused Aaron of being part of that high-powered sex trafficking ring, and then we never really hear much of it ever again. We hear that he was, on top of being accused of being an abuser who has manipulated, tortured, and assaulted his family for years, also potentially he took pictures of her while she was on drugs and positioned her body and then showed those pictures to third parties, and also that he was drugging women on a large scale whilst he was working as a bartender. Freedom for Gracie posts on Instagram a picture of Aaron wearing a tutu and Halloween makeup, making a drink, and the caption reads, "This was Halloween." But Aaron worked as a bartender at night. Even as a professional businessman, he continued bartending. Post-divorce, Angie has heard stories that Aaron drugged women back in these days before people knew what it meant to be roofied. We don't really have any other claims or other people coming forward. I mean, sometimes the Freedom for Gracie Instagram page will say people have come forward, but we don't really get more information out of it. And normally I would say I would feel inclined to believe it. But obviously with highly contentious divorces and custody battles, I've seen people say absolute insane things about their ex-partners, so I don't know. Aaron claims that all of this is not even just to destroy his reputation, but, quote, it's part of a concerted commercial scheme to sell products and raise money for Angie Solomon by misleading consumers with false statements to generate sympathy.
What is she selling? Also, again, just more of this case is just believe me, bro, question mark scenario on either side. Even this statement is like just believe me, bro, unless we end up finding that she did do, she is like selling products to make money or whatever the heck this implicates. Other than the text messages that we saw, like the text messages was the most quote-unquote damning thing we've seen so far out of anything.
And for the longest time, Aaron Solomon was silent. And a lot of people took that silence as guilt. I think a lot of people were thinking, why would you not come forward and say, these are not true, like this is not me? And Aaron Solomon was arguing that he did with the community, he did with people he cared about, he didn't feel the need to do it on a national scale. But eventually, after Angie Solomon's arrest, Aaron is featured on 2 episodes of a Good for Grief podcast. It's a very small podcast done by one of Aaron's friends. I believe they also attend Grace Chapel Church. And so this is not just like an unbiased, confrontational podcast interview.
Yeah, it's completely biased.
This is not testing the theories, testing the evidence type of interview. It's not investigative. It's completely, here's my friend. I'm just going to use your platform to say what I want to say, which is, fine. But it's an interesting podcast. It's an interesting listen. He's asked in that podcast if he feels relief in the strange sense of the word, because the way that Angie was arrested, the podcast host believes that this shows the public, this shows the people who was the crazy one in the relationship. Aaron does start getting emotional. He says, I don't know if relief is the right word because it's hard to hear no matter what, the mother of your children and the person you married speak so easily about wanting you dead. That's very hard to hear. It's hard.
I don't know if relief is the right word. It's hard to hear, no matter what, the mother of your children and the person you married to speak so easily about wanting you dead. That's hard to hear.
He says it's validating in some ways. He says, quote, it's also somewhat alarming and disturbing how many of her supporters still want me dead and speak outwardly about it online. And you're like, so my head is on a swivel every day and that's not fun. He says he hasn't spoken to Gracie, his daughter, in 5 years. He says, my heart hurts for her because I can't remember if I said this before, but with all that's gone on, I feel like I failed in not protecting my daughter from what has happened to her via her mother from a mental perspective. He says, this whole time I've been very quiet. I wasn't sure it would benefit her at all for me. And for both parents to be out there on social media or on a podcast or on a blog or a TV show or a documentary or whatever, I'm kind of saying my side, although there's been plenty of times where I wanted to. So he's saying he never really spoke up prior to Angie getting arrested because he felt like it would not benefit Gracie. I guess it would feel like it wouldn't accomplish a whole lot, but it might help and feel good, I guess. For the main thing is, if it could help my daughter see the truth, to have the truth out there, that could be a plus. That's really the main reason I'm doing this. So he's saying now that Angie's been arrested, maybe this is like another additional way of, maybe after Angie's arrest, he's saying maybe Gracie is opening her eyes. And this is like, hey, here's a very easily available truth out there, his version of the truth, right? He says that he's grieving the loss of both of his kids. Quote, and being a dad was the coolest, most important thing in my life, and it went away quickly. And so the darkness and the abruptness of that is hard, and to feel, like I mentioned before, the day of my son's accident, the helpless feeling of not being able to protect and help and recover and fix, and to try and not be able to help that and not be able to help my daughter in a different but also very dramatic way is very hard to deal with on a daily basis. Aaron says that he hopes in a way that if there is a criminal trial for Angie, he says he hopes a lot of the truth will come out. I will say the podcast episodes, it's hard because both the parents, when I listen to them on most podcasts, and interviews, they seem very rational people. They seem like they've got their head on straight. Angie all the time seems like she's got her head on straight, except when she's kind of saying things that don't align with other things we've heard, such as Gracie saying that she's posting that YouTube video on her own free will, and then later Angie is saying that she didn't want to do it. So those are the times where I kind of raise my eyebrows at Angie in her podcast interviews, but otherwise, I never get this sense that she is this weird, attention-seeking, narcissistic mother who would manipulate her children. I don't get any sense of that. And then with Aaron,
if you're like a sociopath or psychopath, why would you ever let the mask slip? ? Like, you would want people to believe that you're just a normal person. You'd say that about both of them, right? If either of them is like a psychopath, sociopath, why would either of them ever let the mask slip? So if you look at Gracie and she seems like a normal person, well, she might just be a sociopath. Same thing with him.
and I actually don't get, I don't think you can get a sense
Not Grace, not Grace, the mom. I'm talking about the mom.
of whether
Angie.
I don't think so. Like, I think if you say you can, it's very difficult. So that's, I don't even want to say that I'm judging that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that he is or is not. I'm just saying, like, it's not something that I would sit there and be like, let me see if someone is a predator when they talk about something random, right? But I don't get, like, this very conniving vibe from him either. What I get from him is, he seems like the guy that just lets things happen and, like, not in a good way. You know? I don't know. He seems like...
What, like Angie's parent?
When I listen to the podcast, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it makes sense that he doesn't want to sue Toyota. I don't know. Like, on one hand, he seems litigious, but on the other hand, he seems like the type of person that's like, oh, well, moving on. My son died suspiciously. Oh, well, moving on. He doesn't seem meek. He just seems like, I don't know if it's a lack of care. I don't know if it's a lack of parental care. I don't know.
Lack of empathy? ?
But even when he talks about Grant's death, I will say this is the parts where I'm like, that's weird. He says Angie's trying to blame his death on something. And I was literally having this conversation with somebody else earlier today. It was just a freak accident. You know, that's what they're saying. It was just a freak accident, that it can't be anything other than it was. I've always been a believer that things happen for a reason. We're not in control at all, and we never know when our time is going to be. And the longer I live, the more I see that. And he says, as for the 911 call, I mean, when I first glanced down and first saw Grant under the truck, I almost fainted. My knees went weak. I went to the ground, but pulled up my phone and called 911. So, I mean, I literally tried not. I was going to hyperventilate. We just had to get people there. He also states, quote, at the accident scene, the last thing on my mind was that he wouldn't be alive. I knew it was bad. I just knew it was bad that we needed professionals there. But the last thing on my mind is that he wasn't alive or wasn't going to make it. As for the funeral, he spoke at the funeral, and a lot of people have things to say about it, which I tend to agree with. It is a little weird. He goes up onto the podium. See, I don't know. I can talk myself into both things. I don't know if it's him trying to be stoic and not get super emotional on the podium, so he falls into that newscaster role. But it's a lot of strange hand usage.
What standard stoic man archetype? I mean, he might just be that guy, right? The guy who just isn't trying not to show any emotion at all times, ? If he is going to church, being religious, I feel like that kind of might go hand in hand, and being like an old school man of just keeping all that stuff on the inside and being stoic 24/7.
He's like, as some of you guys may not know, I'm Grant's dad. I just want to thank you for being here, and all your words have been so supportive to us. But then some people point out when his hands are clasped together, you can see that it looks like they're shaking. he definitely doesn't seem super natural. He's not on the podium like, I want to thank everyone and giving, his hands. It's like a very uncomfortable usage of hands, whether it's nervousness, whether it's emotions. I don't know. It is weird, but is it weird because he's grieving? I don't know. And he was just saying that for the funeral. He was trying to be strong. He was trying to be strong for Gracie, but also Angie. And in the funeral speech, he does talk about Angie, and he brings Grant into Angie and talking about how Grant loved being held by Angie when he was younger. And so it seems like, on one hand, I can see him trying to, although we've been through a lot as a family, like, let's try to come together for this very difficult moment. And I even want to show my ex-wife that I'm trying to be there for everyone. But on the other hand, it's also like, I don't know, the accident is so weird. And there's a lot of moments where he's very vague in that interview, in that podcast, and he just says things that maybe I personally don't get. But
Again, with the accident, it doesn't make any sense to me either way. Like, you can't convince me it was an accident. You can't convince me it was murder. That's just how weird it was. It doesn't make sense no matter whose side you're on, in my opinion. Though that was like a while ago. Maybe I did come to a conclusion and forgot what my conclusion was, but I think it doesn't make sense either way.
But also, the same could be said for Angie. In an interview, Angie is asked, why would authorities cover for Aaron Solomon? If what you say is true, if the forensics show otherwise, why would anybody cover for your son's father? And she responds in a way that a lot of people find problem with because it's just so vague. And she says, I mean, that's the question. Is who is Aaron Solomon? Who is he really? And really what you're seeing here is, in the sadness of Grant not being here any longer, it's just a pattern, just a continuation of the pattern of life that we've lived from 2013 till the day in July 20th, 2020, under Aaron Solomon's control. It's just a continuation why no one helped ever at any point, why no one stopped and stepped out of the circle and helped Gracie and Grant just as children on their own. There's a forensic evaluation and interview on file at the Williamson County Sheriff's Department that was arrestable and they let it go.
What, we're just saying this Aaron's part of the Illuminati now? New World Order, whatever? Just out of nowhere, this regular guy who has no money and no power?
I don't know. So if one adult had done their
So I guess if you're part of the Illuminati, you would want it to seem like you're just a regular guy with nothing,
job,
I guess.
would have been able to step in and do the job that adults are supposed to do. So some people thought it was a little vague. Some people thought that there are points where in different podcasts, I've seen at least 2 different times that this has happened, where the podcast host will compare Aaron Solomon to the Murdoch family, also a Southern family, also a highly influential Southern family. I think the Murdochs are actually influential. I don't know how influential Aaron Solomon is, but there are times that people have pointed out that she kind of smiles at the comparisons, the analogy, the tying of the 2 names together. So I don't know. Some people think that's weird, but also Aaron is weird too. I think Aaron, during the interview, the podcast interview, he has these really weird emotional moments where when he talks about what it's like with Grant being gone, I will say he's emotional throughout the entirety of the podcast, and there are other times that he's emotional. But in regards to Grant, he's talking about how Grant being gone, quote, he's got so many friends that are still doing well in baseball. So I'm seeing a lot of his friends doing awesome things in their baseball. And a guy that he played with just got called up to the big leagues. And another one that he beat in a state tournament as a sophomore just got to the big leagues. I've got all that coming at me every day too. It's just been a heavy time in just so many different angles. So yeah, there's that.
A guy that he played with just got called up to the big leagues. Another one that he beat in the state tournament just got to the big leagues. I've got all that coming at me every day too, in just so many different angles.
People think this is evidence that all Aaron cared about was Grant's baseball career. Others argue that Aaron just happens to be a sports guy, so this is the way he communicates is through sports, and maybe...
I don't know. You could try to angle it as a bad thing, though. You could argue that is just like, wow, look at all these, bright, shining stars of these kids that I all knew, just getting everything they wanted, having these bright futures, and here's my son dead. And it's just, that could have been my son, but now he's gone, right? And it's, you're constantly being reminded that your son's gone because all the people that he was doing stuff with are all living their lives well, and your son is literally it couldn't be any more opposite of that. No, he's gone, right? So I see what they're trying to get at, but also I could see it's just like what he means is he's having to deal with all these other people, all these other kids still alive and getting like the perfect lives built for them while his son is gone, not being able to live that life himself.
Maybe this whole thing is him saying that the potential that his son had in life.
So yes. Yeah, I mean, she just literally just said what I was trying to say, but just faster.
This is the way he communicates is through sports, and maybe this whole thing is him saying that the potential that his son had in life. So it's like the potential is gone because, his life is gone. But others are arguing, see, like he literally only cares that Grant's friends are doing well in baseball, and he wishes his son was here to do well in baseball. I mean, it's just up for debate. A lot of people are just commenting different things. One netizen just brings up the 911 call and says, that's really the only thing we have to go off of. And Dad is too calm. And with Mom in podcast, she lies and cries without tears. And I find them both sick. And I just think, poor kids. Another comment reads, this feels like when it's all about me. Couples collide. It was never about the children. It's always about winning. R.I.P. Grant, and I pray for Gracie. Another netizen comments, imagine having a possible psychopath as a dad and a pathological liar as a mom for parents. Poor kids.
Sure.
So where are we now? Aaron has since long dropped his defamation lawsuit against Angie. This was in 2023, and now Angie is awaiting a potential criminal trial. She is out on bond. During her bond hearing, the judge says, I have to say that I have deep concerns about the defendant's ability to see the situation she's in right now. So I'm going to reduce the bond to $250,000, only on the condition that she's under house arrest. Plus, you're going to have to remove all telecommunications devices and internet devices from the residence. And if somebody slips her telephone, she's going to be right back in jail. The only
We're trying to make that seem like a good thing. That is not a good thing. That is a horrendous thing. That judge is stupid. If we find out that this woman is dead or she killed freaking Aaron at some point, it was like, okay, I guess Aaron was right all along, because it's like twofold, really. Well, if she kills herself, then it can go both ways, but it almost is a little bit more towards Angie. Because then maybe she didn't kill herself. It was staged because there's no communication. She can't call for help if someone comes in there and tries to kill her. And they could just stage it to look like suicide. If she is somehow able to kill Aaron, then it's like, okay, Aaron was right the entire time, and this judge made a stupid call by getting rid of all the communication that this woman had. She can't call anybody. She can't go online to talk to anybody. She's just isolated, which means she can do anything she wants in that isolation, whether it be kill herself, or someone comes in there and kills her, or she somehow is able to, get out of there and kill Aaron. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that call there with getting rid of all forms of communication for someone.
Devices and internet devices from the residence. And if somebody slips her telephone, she's going to be right back in jail. The only exit she would have is to come to court. That's the only time she would be allowed to leave the premises. And then he looks to the prosecutors and says, I guess you could set up a jamming device outside her house like the North Koreans.
I guess you could set up a jamming device outside her house, like the North Koreans.
Weird comment, but a lot of people have been arguing about this. Some people say that this is actually no one has a right to bond. Like, just so everyone knows, some people are arguing nobody has a right to post bail. Like, the judge can deny bail for anybody. If you are suspected of committing a crime, especially with Angie, there's an audio recording of her committing a crime. There's enough evidence. Like, there's no right any American has to be let out on bail. Mm-hmm. It's up to the judge. So that's one argument. Others are arguing this is really inhumane, because if you don't have a single phone in the house, what do you do if there's an emergency? What if there's a fire in the house? What if you trip and fall and you hurt yourself? Like, you can't even call 911. So that has been a huge debate of people going back and forth. And then, of course, the other party will tell that party, well, then just go to jail then, where you have a phone. So it's been back and forth.
Again, I think that was a really dumb call. If it isn't on purpose, because if it's on purpose for Aaron's sake, then she's getting rid of all the communications so that she can't call for help when people show up to kill her, ? Because the judge or whoever is saying this is on Aaron's side, ? That's just the huge, crazy conspiracy thought that they come up with. Because on just like a standard level, it's just like, what do you mean she has no communication? Like, what if something happens to her? ? Or what if she tries to kill herself? And it's like she legitimately kills herself, and not just. Also, why am I saying that? Oh my god, how many times have I said that this video so far? I should be saying self-exit or whatever. What if she self-exits, right? Then what are you gonna do? Like, she needs some sort of communication, or she needs someone there with her at all times, I feel like, actually. But then, I don't know.
She is out on bond, and Angie's attorney tries to argue that Gracie should be able to have her phone in the house. So Gracie is 18 at this point, so there's no longer an argument about custody. And so she's with Angie, and the attorney is like, well, Gracie needs her phone. Maybe she can just use her phone in one room of the house.
So Gracie is in the house?
Yes, it seems like it.
So that means Gracie also have no internet, no phone, no access.
I think Gracie is now going to stay with a friend of Angie's, because the judge is not having it. He says, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. It's either all gone or I'm not doing this at all. Whether your daughter can go stay with that other lady or not, he's like, I don't care. So with that, we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out of this.
So I'm so sorry.
Yes.
What is Angie facing?
Just a murder for hire charge. Probably will plead guilty. I think so. I don't think there's going to be a criminal trial. I think she'll plead guilty. I think she'll get 8 to 30 years is usually the sentencing. But if you plead, you're looking probably on the lower end of 8-ish. But a lot of people have been given 20.
Christ.
So like 5 to 20 is what I said, yeah.
Huh. And do you know exactly what happened? Like, she just went on Google?
No, so there was a civilian. So I guess she had been asking around. Or maybe she asked someone and they're like, I know someone. So a civilian comes to the police. They go to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and then they get an undercover agent. And there was actually a civilian involved in all of this. An undercover. I guess they went undercover. So they're like, oh yeah, I know a guy who worked with my buddy John. And so I'm going to introduce you to this guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is like just a neighbor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like a regular suburban person who's like, oh, I gotta go to the cops. So
Wow.
Angie, though, is awaiting a criminal trial. I feel like there's probably going to be some sort of plea deal. I don't think that there's going to be a trial.
If she pleads guilty, then we probably won't have any more answers for
No,
anything.
nothing.
Yeah, kind of rough. Like, I wasn't expecting 8 to 30. I mean, I guess it's just close to actually committing manslaughter or something. Would you get less years for committing manslaughter? I feel like people have gone away for less for like manslaughter, like 2 or 3 years. So 8 to 30 is crazy. I don't know if that's okay or not. I mean, I'm just being biased here, probably, because I don't know. Not biased, but I'm not going to pretend that I wouldn't give slack to. I mean, we're going to be controversial here. People might not like what I'm about to say. I'm not going to pretend and act like I wouldn't give slack to females over guys. I think that's just a lot of people just have that mentality of cutting them slack. So hearing 8 to 30, I'm just like, okay, I know she tried to kill her husband, but cut her some slack? Question mark. So like 8 to 30, I hear that and I'm like, oh my god, that's so much. That's too much. So yeah, I don't know. And especially too much if the guy is actually a bad person, question mark. Who needs to be dealt with. Because now he's still out roaming free, being able to do whatever the heck he wants. He could even come after Grace. And her mom is in jail for most of her adult life. Potentially most of her adult life. Question mark. Now she's going to be middle-aged by the time her mom gets out of jail. If her mom is even still alive, then at that point. So yeah, that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But if there is a trial, then we will know a lot more.
Yes, we'll know a lot more, but it will still be limited considering you can't use your own trial where you're the defendant to bring it's hard to get things against Aaron admitted.
Right.
You know, so it'd be a little difficult. I imagine that there would be a lot of legal barriers that the prosecutors would try to block to bring up all these different things that would be against Aaron, right? Because then you're basically saying, well, the victim deserved it, so I was trying to kill him, you know what I mean? So I think that there's that. But I mean, we'll know a lot more than we know now, I imagine, with a criminal trial. But I don't think it's going to go to trial. I hope it does, just for the sake of so many people have donated money, so many people have been so invested in this case, and just if something did happen to Grant, that's probably the best shot to get an open investigation. That's probably like the best shot to get any sort of extra information to force the police to get an investigation. So I do hope that I'm wrong, and I do hope that there's a criminal trial, but I think it's unlikely.
You said there's a gag order on the whole family?
Yeah, the whole family is under a gag order, and even if they weren't, I mean, it's probably advisable that they would not talk, yeah. But Angie has previously said about Grant's death, there has to be a way. With all the ways involved in covering this up, there has to be a way to carve out what happened to Grant. We had a child die and no explanation for it. We have one witness, and that witness's story cannot be true. So if not that, then what? Which, interestingly, like 2 months ago, well, end of October, 2 of the witnesses from the car accident have been located. They've come forward to the police. We don't know what they've said, but they were out of state. They were driving through the state. They were working in Tennessee, and they were out of state. They weren't keeping up with social media. They weren't following these YouTube channels and podcast episodes. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what they saw was that big of a deal. They didn't even know if Grant Solomon was dead or alive. They just like helped, and the truck couldn't come up, and so it was a whole thing, and then they left.
That's so crazy.
Now 5 years later, they're saying, oh, sorry, we didn't know. But like, hi, here we are.
Wow.
So it should be interesting what they have to say as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what's going to come out of that? I don't know if she's going to be doing any follow-ups to this. Again, I don't know how often she does like a video like this, because I don't know how long she's been doing this channel. Has a series like this, an arc, and then several years later is like, hey, you remember that thing we talked about 50 years ago? Time to talk about it again. Like, I don't know how often that happens, so who knows if we're going to get a conclusion to what these witnesses are saying, or just whether or not Grace is actually just crazy, or if Aaron actually is a bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they might be the only people that have something to say that might be worthwhile.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on this case? I mean, it's such a confusing case. I will say that when I first went into it, all I've heard was that everyone's on Angie's side. And that's kind of like where I initially thought too, right? And then people start changing their minds, and I started seeing more and more as time was developing of people questioning both sides. So it's been interesting to see how even the netizen opinion has been shifting. So like in 2020, I recall everybody was on Angie's side.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what I'm saying.
2025
Like, without more information, I don't even want to make any.
Oh, yeah, I
comment.
don't think
I don't want to
so.
feel anything, because who knows what
Yeah.
really happened here.
And I also do think that one thing I want to clarify is being on Angie's side or not believing Angie or believing Angie has no correlation with whether or not you believe Gracie. I think regardless, Gracie should be believed. I think that she's ultimately a victim in some way, shape, or form.
Every scenario, like, it's just sad. reality.
Every situation, every scenario, whether the sexual abuse happened, did not happen, and that's not me questioning it, but like putting out all these hypothetical scenarios out there, she is still a victim.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
And of course, that is that video. What she's saying there at the end of she's a victim either way. You could spin that to, you know, if she's telling the truth, then like, yeah, she needs justice and something needs to happen to the dad, and she was a victim of her dad. But if it actually is that Angie is a crazy, manipulative, I don't know, crazy person who's brainwashed her daughter into thinking all these crazy things that didn't happen, then the daughter is also still a victim of that brainwashing. And she's also a victim of losing a brother and whatnot. So yeah, it's always just, you know, the kids who are always taking these hits for any of these cases that we watch or things that come up. Even the video the other day, a couple days ago, so many kids getting screwed over because of the parents and whatnot. I don't know if it was multiple cases of kids or just, I think it was just a one case. I don't remember. Well, I mean, a bunch of children died in that one burning building. But there was a case where husband, eliminates wife and then self-exits. I'm always like trying to say these dumb phrases instead of just saying, you know, what I want to say, because I don't know how YouTube's going to act. This video is so long, it probably doesn't matter what I say, but we'll see if this video gets in trouble for me using the word kill earlier and right now. Yeah, no matter what happens, she's a victim. Did I finish what I was saying though? Like, the dad killed himself and then, or he killed the wife and then himself, and that left at least 2+ children without parents, question mark, in that video from 2 days ago, the Nick Crowley video. That was one scenario that happened in that one. But yeah, it's just always unfortunate, these things. Again, hopefully we get follow-up to this, but who knows, that could be a decade from now. And same thing with the Karen Reed case. That was her name, right? Karen Reed. Who knows if we're going to get follow-up and finally see, okay, this is what happened. All these officials were in on it. The dog was buried underneath cement in the guy's pool. Like, they actually were able to dig up the guy's pool and find the dog's body at the bottom of it to make sure no one ever found out about what happened or whatever the heck is buried down there. You know, who knows? We'll just have to see in the future what it holds. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, because the screen was black, you couldn't see me anymore. But yeah, that is going to be it for today. Though again, like I said, I do not want to end this video without getting a win in Horror Simulator. So we're probably going to dive back in to that. I probably should be saying like dive back in, because we are talking about VR, right? So we're going to dive back into VR. We're going to dive back into that right now, and I'm going to try to get a win. If I lose again, I'm just going to stop, right? Because I can't just sit here and be playing Horror Simulator until I get a win. Who knows how long that's going to take. I'm just going to try to get another win. Or get a win in this video for this next radical break. Of course, again, I'm not holding you hostage. You can skip past this. You can stop watching the video right now. Nobody's keeping you here, question mark. So there's no reason to complain, because I literally do not have a gun to your head saying you will watch this radical break. You will watch me play Horror Simulator right now. Again, it's just something I wanted to do just for my own videos. In my videos, I can make them however I want. I think it's not interesting or unique, but who out here is playing games mid-reaction, right? It's almost like a stream, like a live stream. You know, you're just doing a bunch of different stuff in one video. But yeah, we will cut back to Horror Simulator now, and hopefully get a win out of that. Alright, we are back in Horror Simulator, and we're going to try to go for this win. Now, difficulty 2. It does not make sense that this is this difficult. It does not make any sense, but hopefully we can get through this. Also, I don't know how old this game is. I feel like it's been around for a while, but like, come on, 3 maps? This game costs, what, like $20, I think? For 3 maps? I mean, this is free. I'm playing the free version, but if you paid $20 to get the game, like 2 maps? Really? Or 2 more maps for $20? I know we're comparing this like Phasmophobia. I don't think Phasmophobia is $20 anymore, but when it was in early access, it was $20, right? So, you still got more than this, so take it seriously. I mean, I'm just being mean, right? Let's go ahead and get a move on. Just making sure that's recording. All right, same thing. Standard, we'll do that last because it's too bright. It's so hard to put this on. Because, like, what's the best way to put it on? See? We gotta figure this out. Because it's just supposed to go on your head. But it never wants to just stay there. Maybe I'm doing it too fast? I don't know. Heard something already. Things getting thrown around. Might be upstairs. I think that's how they get you with the difficulty on this map is upstairs. There's just too much going on upstairs. Wait, did this get turned off? Could have sworn it turned it on. Can I get a door opening? That would be good. Something's happening over here. Maybe. TV's on, lights are on in this room already. No, this is the room though, probably. Doesn't care about that. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna... Where's the door? Oh, here it is. I'm just gonna leave now, because that's 1 down. We actually got 1. We're at 90 already, somehow. Okay, so we got this holy... This is holy water. Wrath. This didn't work in there. I'll keep it for now. But we'll have to see about that. There was a room at the end. Okay, so that hasn't done anything yet. Oh. Showers on. No, cross is not working. Like maybe this is the room? No. It's like one of these two rooms. There's the light switch in here. There it is. Something's happening. Gotta run. Oh, really? Okay, sure. I don't know how to get away from that. Well, that's fine. Lights are still on in here. I'm going to turn this off. Take this off. Grab the conch. I don't know if that fire over there counts. I don't know if this is even the right room. Nothing. Oh my god, light switch. If that hasn't burnt, maybe I should have it over here. That door just closed. Did they lock the door? They turned the light off. That's not doing anything. I'm making this really difficult. Again. That, I think it just walked through. I didn't see it, but that sound, I believe, is ghost walking through. Really? I was already running. Oh, there it is, up there. It saw me. I need to be quiet. Again, how did it get me? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just an attack. It's not like a kill, but still. Alright. Wrath and Gluttony. Again, this should be in a book that you, like, maybe have on your waist and you just grab it and look at it. So we have Gluttony and Wrath. So, Envy, the hand, nothing's happened to that yet. Extremely difficult to locate. I already located it. Doesn't initiate 100 people nearby. I don't know. Pride the cross. Cross hasn't done anything. Can throw a large amount of objects at the target at once. Tremendous force. Throw stuff crazily. I don't know if that's been happening, but it's still Gluttony and Wrath. Wait, that was, again, Sloth. Speed. There's too many things. It could be that, it could be that, it could be this. Again, greed. No one can hide, even those deep in the darkness. They can't hide from it, but I don't know if that's the case. You have to be able to see your breath to use this. This thing. I don't know if you can just pop it open in a location and it'll work. So literally everything we have here is a possibility. I don't know if I left anything behind. We're at 60. Let's just do that. just to last a little bit longer. If it is B name, I just got in here, man. We can't run. What if I just do this? Play Ring Around the Rosie. Okay, got away. It turned the lights off. This place is so far away. That still hasn't. Oh, breath. I can't get out of here. It's still on me. That was just a spook. Dang it. Give me this again. I'm gonna consider that not working. I don't know if the rose could have been used, but it hasn't burnt, so. None of this, I mean, I've used this multiple times and it has not worked, so I don't know if it's it or not. A lot of stuff is being thrown around. It could be that. Keep that just in case. I need to go turn the lights on. Wait, which way is it going? It's throwing stuff while I was hunting. If that was a hunt, I think that maybe tells us what it is. Okay, so which one was doing that? It's Gluttony and Wrath. Envy, no. Pride starts hunting earlier. Can throw a large amount of objects. Well, we'll throw objects crazily while hunting. So we need this. Even it didn't work. So we'll just have to see. Oh, we're down to 40, Jesus Christ. I was in the room with the lights, so the lights should still be on, right? Yeah, because I flipped them back on. Okay. It's not making any sound though. Can't tell what the voice. Okay, the Bible saved me. But I cannot see. Which is unfortunate, we're probably still gonna die. Because I did not put the thing back where it belongs. Dang it. I'll get that. Oh, really? I was running. I should have just taken the gas. The conch just did not want to work. What was it? Vine? What? Started hunting earlier than other demons, that's it. I guess I should have realized when the conch wasn't working, but I've completely written this one off because of this refused to like work on anything. I was testing items it was touching. Just did not go off. Oof. I was hoping we could actually win that one. Should we go one more? I mean, it's my video. You can leave if you want. We're going in again. I refuse to keep losing. Let me... We don't have time to test. It's going to let me test the cross in the room to like see what it actually does, because it doesn't make sense. Like why sometimes it will light up, sometimes it won't. Alright, same go-to. Holy water, clock, that thing, the hearts, light, which never wants to go on your head. I hate this thing. They need to fix like this, because having to interact like that doesn't make sense. Like usually I have to, maybe in front, it's, because then you just lose your light. Because of the game being poorly made, at least in that regard, with trying to put this thing on your head. Gonna turn this on already. Even though the lights are not on, we have to go turn them on ourselves. Alright, I don't hear anything so far. Can't believe I wasted a Bible the last match just to not even win. We were so close. Well, something just moved. Unless that was just me hitting this. Yeah, that probably was just that. Okay, that was sound from somewhere. I don't know if it's that room in there or what. What is that scratching sound? Maybe it's downstairs. Oh, it's down here. That door, I didn't open that door. Why can't I hear this? Why is it so quiet? That's weird. This wasn't making any sounds. I'm gonna assume this is the spot. Easy check if this is. Nothing. Audio's acting weird. I need to just check that now. Something was just here, though. There's only so many things I can check. Where did that detonate? Nothing. I don't know if this even counts as a room. Was that me? Just ran into the wall a bit. It is that one. Dang it. I ran for a long time though. I got too close. When you see that, that means that's where my wall's at. It can't be this. Also, I kind of... Clearly just... nothing. Nothing, man. These guys are so difficult. Literally stuff is moving right now. I don't have the conch. I can go get the conch, I guess. I'd have to drop something though. Once again, we got nothing. There's just so much going on. There is a guy who does more, there's like an entity that's multiple. Okay, well. That's that. Conch finally being used. Whoop. That is lust, of course. I don't know what other options we have for that with my sanity. Not bad, but we just can't find anything. I want to take another one of these. Just in case I lose this. Because you have to take it off, I'm pretty sure, to not be seen. Now that was in the... dang it. Oh, it's over already. Alright, turn around. Now, I do that usually just so I know that I'm not being hunted. Rose is not being activated. Oh. Please. Big money, no whammies. There we go. That's what we want to see. Okay, well, let's do this now. We can try to narrow the options after this. Okay. You. So that froze because our breath was out. We could see if it freezes over, that means we can use it. So greed and lust. No. Let's just be looking for this, because it doesn't show up that often? Question mark? Here, envy. Speaking loudly. I mean, I am talking. I don't know if the game can hear me. Is it? Yeah, these two. Sloth. Don't know. This isn't working, so... what is it? It's that and... It's greed and that. We don't really have that many options, right? Clock. The hand, which has not burnt. Just a hand and a clock? I think I might be passing one up, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, these two. I think it's just the hand and the clock, so I'm gonna hope that's right. The clock. But the hand's already over there. I'm taking this as a spare. Since we're gonna win this one, I'm gonna waste all my money on a Bible, just in case. That thing's doing its thing again. You. Okay, finally. I don't know what took us so long. Okay, you can just do that. Okay, well, we got it. We got it. We finally got one. Because it's burnt. It is... you. If you haven't noticed, I have been... One of these speaking to it. Not saying any of their names. Because if you want to believe in this kind of stuff, you should not be saying these names out loud. We got it. Finally, 110. I mean, I bought a Bible again, so... I mean, it basically just pays for the Bible that I just bought, so oof. But at least we actually won one on camera. Let's go to the dressing room and sign off there. I'll probably switch back to the regular video after this, even after doing this, but I just wanted to come over here to the mirror here. Scoot over. But yep. We finally got a win. Let me turn around as well. Yeah, finally got a win in there. I didn't think we were going to be able to do it, but finally got it. So yeah, we're going to just switch back over to the computer and finally end the video. Though actually I need to like walk over there because I need to come this way to actually pause for a second, so I will be right back. Alright, well, we are back to end the video. We finally got a win there at the end. I didn't expect the game to be that difficult. I wonder what it's like with other people, question mark, because that is a multiplayer game. Of course, I'm not going to be playing with anyone. I don't have anyone to play with to begin with, but I mean, maybe I would if I actually had people that I knew who had a quest or something, but it's just going to be solo from now on. And plus, I feel like playing horror games co-op kind of ruins it a bit, right? Unless you take it seriously, because if you're just goofing around and being dumb the whole time, it can't really be that spooky, right? But yeah, that was that. I guess let me know if you sticked around for the entire video and didn't skip past everything. I just assume everyone just passed all the radical breaks for this video. I don't expect anyone who to have stuck around for everything. Again, I still don't know if I've fixed the desync. I doubt it, but hopefully it wasn't too bad, the desync, because I played a lot of Horror Simulator today, so hopefully the desync wasn't too bad. But yeah, I think we are good to go to end the video now. I mean, this is 3 hours. It's going to take me forever to upload this. It's already after 8 o'clock for me, and that's when the videos usually go up, so oof. And my voice is getting kind of flat now, too. So guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers, or think about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we're going to watch time and subscribers. And don't forget we have a throne now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Yeah, Kyuuties. Thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment, and hype. You know what to do. See ya.